You have been selected to work with extremely confidential data on the basis of your intellect and abilities. New personnel at the Terrigen Initiative are expected to be familiar with all prior findings with regard to the experimental regenerative terrigen hemoglobin catalyst formula, henceforth the regenerative formula. The company intranet has an archive of all previous research. The applications will become clear, but for the purposes of security and shareholder obligations, we filter our results. The primary goal must always appear to be the complete cure of the inhuman condition through use of the formula, even if your work takes you in another, more important direction. We at AIM have certain expectations of you. Failure to live up to expectations at this stage puts you in a dangerous position, operationally speaking. You have all been through rigorous vetting. We are working with arguably the most important discovery in the history of scientific inquiry. Do not disappoint. Although we must always acknowledge the loss of human life on A-Day, we have been given an unprecedented opportunity, a large-scale human trial on the effects of exposure to terrigen. Terrigen has an immediate reaction to water, creating a fine particulate mist. For a fraction of human subjects, this terrigen mist has a profound transformative effect. We have since isolated a mitochondrial DNA shared by this subgroup. Thus far, only those we have dubbed inhuman have entered terrigenesis upon exposure. A closer examination of inhumans is underway, but the early reports are both fascinating and distressing. The genetic distinction in question arise identically from multiple geographically diverse populations. I've tightened the security on these reports, but it seems almost inescapable. At some point in the past, someone or something did this to us on purpose. Our understanding of terrigenesis continues to increase, with certain commonalities being identified. All inhuman subjects form a protective cocoon around their bodies during the process, though the structure is more akin to a chrysalis. I'm afraid the catchier name has stuck. The gestation period varies wildly, and the mortality rate is still high. But surviving subjects emerge changed, and from there, no two metamorphoses are identical. There also appears to be a psychosomatic component to the mutations, a connection between the consciousness of the subject and the change. Work with the regenerative formula on Project Adaptoid advances in parallel, with great strides being made in the mimicry of inhuman abilities. That research group must remain isolated from the rest, and away from any diagnostic equipment that would allow study of the regenerative formula itself. This level of secrecy is prohibitive to progress, but the composition of the formula must remain known to me alone. The inhuman death rate is concerning, but more worrying is the apparent correlation between the subject's desires and their individual manifestation post-terrigenesis. The more a subject is aware of the program and its risks, the more likely their enhancements will assist them in escape or resistance. We must be cautious. Keeping subjects isolated and ill-informed is the smartest approach. It's also becoming difficult to keep George unaware of the regenerative formula's importance in our research, or in his own treatment. Without it, his condition would be terminal. But the formula allows me to direct the course of his transformation, and he remains my most important subject. He would kill me if he learned the truth. So many little calculated risks, but nothing else matters besides the work. We're on the event horizon of nothing less than total human evolutionary apotheosis, or extinction. Someone has to be the adult in the room and make the hard choices. AIM has scraped together enough vibranium to continue research into quantum causality for now. If the implications of our early tests are correct, we may be rewriting the common conception of linear time before the decade is out, but we will soon need a new supply. I've made initial overtures to the Wakandan government now that I am in a position to do so, but I don't believe it will amount to much. We will need far more than they will part with, willingly. Tarleton continues to act like my prominence in public life is something I desired, not something I endure. Before A-Day, I mirrored his resentment at being sidelined by Tony and the Avengers. I let that be our bond, a false longing for credit and fame. As if I didn't manufacture the situation to position myself exactly where I wanted to be. People are always willing to believe that you share the same desires. From there, it's all momentum and inertia. A gentle push here, a single word there. Then you let them do the work and think it was their idea all along. People can be so easy. I have enough of a foundation in psychiatry and human behavior to diagnose and categorize my own particular mental illnesses and pathology. I am not deluded. I know that chemistry can render my mind suboptimal, and that I must take responsibility for maintenance. Once, to eliminate the possibility of confirmation bias, I hired the best psychologist I could find and allowed unfettered access. I could tell she was horrified, but she hid it well. It was a waste. She refused to believe that I was not made who I am by trauma. She needed so badly for there to be some answer, a clear causation to my need to control, a reaction to a stimulus. The real answer, of course, scared her too much to consider. I'm a shadow without a light source. Trauma didn't make me. I made me. In my position, with my resources and abilities, how could I not do what I have done? It would be an abdication of my responsibility to my species not to. I had her killed afterwards, like I had always intended. I avoid intoxication. Social situations demand that I sometimes put on a show, but I am not in the habit of relinquishing control without getting something in return. That's out the window tonight. Just received the final report from the archaeology teams. Every geographic site we've linked to inhuman origins shows the same signs. Unmistakably extraterrestrial. This changes things. If they've been here once. I've opened a bottle, locked the doors, and blacked out the security system long enough for me to sink into oblivion for an evening. I deserve it. I am so lonely. I don't need something so trite or squalid as companionship. What I need is the one thing I cannot have. Someone I can depend on. I'm so tired of doing this alone. I just need there to be more of me. I don't blame the rest of them for resisting what AIM must do. Not everyone can see what's coming. If they understood what I was doing and why, they would try to worship me. But no. They must be dragged, kicking and screaming into salvation. I accept that.
Phil? Well, first, thanks for inviting me to come on your show to set the record straight. As the world grows more complex, the dangers we face have adapted. We can no longer take a localized approach to protecting this nation, or the world. The Avengers must become a global organization. Our new West Coast headquarters is just the first step. As for the Chimera, and I apologize if I get this wrong, but people much smarter than I am have explained it's powered by the Stark patented terrigen reactor, capable of generating clean, efficient power. Not only will we be more mobile, more able to react to danger, we're working toward improving the world in peacetime as well as in crisis. Is this helicarrier designed for conflict? Well, yes. The Avengers' primary mission is to defend the public from harm. And sometimes that requires a little muscle, you know? When terrorists attack, even if we do our jobs, damage is done. People get displaced. Whole areas are deprived of power and basic food and water. But with the Chimera as our new mobile headquarters, we'll be able to solve some of these problems. So yeah, the Chimera is a military vessel, but it will also allow the Avengers to give something back to the world.
I don't appreciate Stark Industries setting roots in my own backyard without so much of a courtesy call. Tony loves to play this all off like the natural growth of the Avengers, but this whole thing reeks of his ego, just like the inside of his tin tux. I know you're working closely with him, and I don't want to sour your working relationship, but sometimes you'll find you just need to outmaneuver him, or else he's always going to construct a scenario where he's the hero on center stage. PIM Technologies has been in the region doing similar work on clean energy generation, but he never even bothered to talk to us, because it's all about him, not about the science. And the public will eat it up. Anyway, I'm ranting. I'm glad you reached out, Monica. You could use someone who knows Tony and what he's capable of in your corner. I just want to make sure he doesn't take advantage of you. He's good at that. Hank Pym, Pym Technologies.
Her Majesty the Princess Shuri of Wakanda. Received your latest proposal for the redesign of the shield, and I must say, I'm a little overwhelmed. I am beyond grateful for your continued generosity for both the vibranium and the designs, of course, but I didn't anticipate so many options. After reviewing the possibilities for adding functionality and upgrades, my gut tells me that every new complexity is a potential for failure. Not that anything designed by you would be prone to failure, of course, but the simplest tool is often the strongest. I worry, as we expand and grow, that we forget that at our own peril. As far as the look, I am drawn to the simple and familiar. I intended to graciously decline any redesigns, but one caught my eye. 37th page, 5th design down. It's almost the same, but you've made the star a little larger, like it's reaching out with all 5 arms, trying to protect just a little more of the world. I like that. At the risk of being too on the nose, it feels right. Best, Steve.
I'm glad you asked, sir. I do have concerns about the Terrigen project. I think with the increasing media prominence of the Avengers, a continued close relationship with S.H.I.E.L.D. could expose us. We are fundamentally a covert government agency, and the Avengers wear brightly colored outfits while performing large-scale magic tricks for the public on a daily basis. And now we're being asked to stretch even further and tie our fates together even closer? It could be risky. I'm sure you've considered said risks, but you asked for my opinion. But the pieces are already in motion for the West Coast Initiative, so what I'm gonna do is my job, and hold it together on this course. Because that's what you trust me to do, and in the end, that's all that matters. I have faith in you, and you have faith in me, and I won't let you down.
My friends, I must leave you. Now, do not weep. There are many alehouses in this land of oaks, and I must see them all. But I will return, and likely on a Thursday. For I have been told by Emily and her companions that the shepherd's pie here is passable, which would make it quite good indeed for America. But, of course, I will return. This is my home now, is it not? I am Thor, now of the West Coast. You know, there are others among the Avengers who have not embraced our expansion. Some of them, and I shan't name names, Bruce, fear that our reach exceeds our grasp. As if such a triviality could concern a god on such a trivia night as this. This is a new journey, and like all journeys, it is an adventure to be embraced lustily. Lustily. Lovely word, lustily. It's fun to say. Our benighted public relations acolytes would not approve that I told you these things, so I ask you not to record what I have said tonight on your cellular phones. If you have already done so, and yes, I am looking right at you, then promise me this footage is for your own enjoyment and not for your false friends on the computers. Promise? Good.
With the West Coast office, I'm gonna be on 3-4 times as many flights. And, the Hulk hates flying. It's like, jamming a bowl in a china shop, 30,000 feet up. But it's gonna happen. He has to do it. On the other side of the scale, there's Tony's project. There's being the Avengers. Literally saving the world in as many ways as we can. And Monica. So much more time with Monica. Okay. I think I can make this work. Hulk will just, have to deal with it. And, all things being equal, future looks bright.
Bruce, I am so thrilled to have you fully on board. I know you weren't on the cheerleading squad for the West Coast Initiative, and I hear your reservations. I really do. Man, I haven't felt like this since we first formed the Avengers. That exultation and pride and terror all at once. It's like the first time you skydive with a chute that you made yourself. And yes, I am absolutely petrified. It's not just the Avengers on the line, it's everything Stark. I've thrown my whole heart and body into this. I stay up every night wondering if, when, and how I will end up regretting this. But then, every day, getting to work with you on the Terrigen project, and knowing that we are literally writing history, that's worth anything. We are dragging a better tomorrow into existence by the force of our will, and we're doing it together. Honestly, it makes me choke up a bit. If you tell anyone this, I will tell them about the thing with the birthday cake at Clint's 40th. No, I have not forgotten. Love you, buddy.
I caught that look you gave me at the briefing. Or I guess, you caught the look I was trying not to give you. So let's get it out there. No, I do think the initiative is the best move forward for the Avengers. Yes, I think we're doing more good for more people this way. That's why we get up in the morning. So of course I'm on board. That doesn't mean I have to like every minute of it. I can't weigh my cynicism against the real, tangible benefits of what we're doing, so I won't. But you asked. People love us. Today. But everyone knows who we are now. The more we grow, the higher a pedestal they put us on. That's a long way to fall, Cap. And if there's one thing I know, it's how fast people can turn on you. So let's do this, by all means. But let's not pretend it doesn't come with risk.
It was an excellent idea you had, logging the little safety violations Tony makes every time he bothers to show up in the laboratory late and wearing those awful rubber sandals with socks. I'm not optimistic enough to think it would ever amount to anything, but in some little way, it makes me feel like I have some control. If we were bold enough to take Terrigen to its logical conclusion, we wouldn't need people like him anymore. To have power like they wield, concentrated and unaccountable, it's an unsustainable system. The more I get to know them, the more I wonder how the world has made it this far without catastrophe. I don't resent Tony for what he's done as an Avenger, but I resent how they all justify their own existence as necessary when they're largely the architects of all our misfortune to begin with. Superhumans are a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I want out. Terrigen was supposed to be the way. I appreciate your ear, Monica. I feel surrounded these days, and it's good to have someone with similar interests to commiserate with.
A-Day. One of the greatest tragedies in our country's history. The Avengers unveiled their first helicarrier, the Chimera, equipped with an experimental reactor, powered by the newly discovered element, terrigen. It was a day of celebration and patriotism. But soon after the festivities commenced, it was clear something was very wrong. As can be seen in the archival footage, explosions on the Golden Gate Bridge split the Avengers' focus. By the time it was clear another attack had begun on the Chimera itself, Captain America was the last remaining Avenger aboard the vessel. The Chimera rose, as it was designed to do. Reports indicated a strange, low-frequency vibration as the Chimera crossed the bay. People felt it as far away as downtown San Francisco. Soon, the once still waters of the bay became choppy and agitated. Bystanders on the scene at A-Day recorded strange electrical emissions from the Chimera arcing to the waters of the bay. It was clear that something was happening aboard the helicarrier. With crowds fleeing in confusion and terror, the shaking dramatically increased in intensity. Buildings began to collapse across the city. Footage was captured of the Avengers desperately attempting to protect the crowds from the destruction, but it just wasn't enough. From the gathered footage of the crowds at the shoreline, it appeared there was some kind of explosion deep inside the helicarrier's hull. The shaking ceased, and for one brief moment, the Chimera hovered high above the bay, and then it fell like a rock into the waters below. It appeared the danger had passed, but then, from the Chimera's windows and portholes, a strange, dense blue mist belched forth, rapidly spreading across the waters, and then the city itself. Disaster aboard the Avengers flagship, the Chimera, leveled San Francisco, killing hundreds. Dozens of survivors infected with dangerous, unnatural abilities, the inhuman condition. Even the esteemed Dr. Banner couldn't deny the Avengers' negligence. In the weeks following A-Day, a congressional committee was formed to investigate those responsible. Tony Stark was implicated, with evidence submitted by George Tarleton and Monica Rappaccini suggesting that their warnings of the potential dangers of the Chimera's reactor were ignored. With Captain America killed in the event, Dr. Bruce Banner stepped in to answer for their part in the tragedy. He admitted, under oath, that they were aware of possible faults in the new reactor. With public pressure mounting, Dr. Banner agreed that the Avengers should disband.
Ms. Romanoff, would you say you are the second in command of the Avengers organization?
No.
I don't suppose you could clarify, in Captain Rogers' absence, who speaks for the Avengers?
We never had a formalized plan for what would happen if... I can do my best to speak on behalf of the others, but Cap... Only Steve could have truly spoken for all of us.
How many times do I have to explain this? We take the safety of civilians with utmost seriousness. And what happened on A-Day couldn't have been predicted, and we did everything we could to minimize the loss of life.
So, you're saying, for the record, that the Avengers do not pose a risk to the citizens of this country?
I am saying that again. Is short-term memory a common problem among senators from...
Why, then, would your colleague, Dr. Banner, say otherwise?
Sorry, what?
In his interview, Dr. Banner stated, in no uncertain terms, that he believed the Avengers could, and continue to be, a source of potential danger to the populace. When was the last time you had contact with Mr. Odinson?
A few weeks after A-Day.
And at that point, what did he have to say?
He blamed himself. And us for Cap's death. He said he was going out on his own to find another way to do good where he didn't put people in danger. We already hadn't seen each other in weeks when he put his hammer down at Cap's statue. You already knew that.
Now, your transformation into the Hulk is not just at will. There are also emotional stimuli that can trigger the change and affect the duration, yes?
Yes. During times of extreme stress, the Hulk takes over for long periods of time.
And does that concern you, given the events of the last few months?
It does. It does.
Could the same not be said for the rest of you? A self-proclaimed god, an erratic genius, a Soviet-born assassin, and a barely controllable monster. In light of recent events, can you say the Avengers pose no threat to the good citizens of this country?
No, sir. No, I can't.
Attention all personnel. Effective immediately, this SHIELD facility is officially decommissioned. While I am aware that the work is incomplete, a full evacuation is imperative. All employees are to return to SHIELD Central for immediate debriefing and reassignment. All assets formerly assigned to this facility are to be left untouched. Do not approach the main site. Vacate in a quiet, orderly manner. I remind you that with the closing of this facility pursuant to SHIELD Regulation 802, all agents are expressly forbidden to disclose any information about the whereabouts of this facility, nor any activities that were conducted on site. Commander M. Hill.
We're leaving everything behind. All the hardware, the drives, everything. I don't like this any more than you, but given the circumstances, I don't think we have a choice. Hill gave me one exception. Quinjet F-530 should be scrubbed from the manifest. No one from AIM will know it's here. Per your other concern, we'll flush the network before we shut the lights off. It's clear AIM does not have the same priorities as us, so I'm not taking chances. We've had shakeups before, but I'll be honest, since A-Day, this is uncharted territory for us all. In 6 months, my guess is SHIELD will be dissolved entirely. I know you're freaked out, and that's good, because so am I. But I need you to keep up appearances for now. I've got your back.
I wanted to take... I want to take this moment to personally apologize to the American people. The past is written. I know I can never erase what happened. But I do hope my actions today will help prevent a tragedy like this from ever happening again. It is my intention to abide by the ruling of this committee, and I will take the necessary steps to ensure the dissolution of our organization. Each of us had a part to play in the events of A-Day. Each of us has blood on our hands. I just hope someday the world can forgive us. Thank you.
It's been almost 5 years since the tragic events of A-Day, but in that time, advanced idea mechanics has risen from the ashes of the Bay Area like a phoenix. Under the visionary leadership of Dr. Tarleton, AIM has set out to do nothing less than transform the world. Dr. Tarleton's vision was simple. Humanity cannot depend on the fickle whims of costumed superhumans for protection. Scientific progress must uplift us all. From that brave and innovative mission statement, AIM has become a world leader in industries once dominated or overshadowed by the Avengers: security, defense, and energy. If I told you there was a nuclear weapon loose in the United States, in the hands of one man with a history of psychological issues, you would rightly be terrified. Until recently, that was exactly the case with the Avengers. Now, it is up to us to keep our communities safe. Superhumans can never be in full control of the powers they wield. It is paramount that we all protect each other. If you see something, say something. We cannot afford another A-Day. In a way, it was inevitable. AIM was forged in the tragic fires of A-Day, an organization dedicated to bettering the lives of the ordinary people who had suffered a great tragedy. Today, AIM brings that altruistic spirit full circle as they undertake the most noble initiative yet, the restoration of the San Francisco Bay. With full operational control, AIM will bring their most cutting-edge technologies to bear in this Herculean effort. Now, with advances in autonomous labor devices and drone-controlled machinery, no human being needs to expose himself to the dangers that still linger in the Bay.
In just 5 years, advanced idea mechanics has topped technology markets across the spectrum, from personal electronics and medical devices to self-driving vehicles. Eclipsing their competitors with a dizzying release schedule and remarkably effective supply chain, AIM is now poised to transform the lives of most of the planet. The lion's share of the company's advances have come from the mind of brilliant CEO George Tarleton. But equally important is his partner and CTO, Monica Rappaccini, the mastermind behind AIM's now renowned R&D group. Together, they have secured several lucrative government contracts.
Black Widow, who had her own chair that no one was allowed to sit in ever, rolled her eyes at Iron Man. "There's nothing in your toilet, Stark." Iron Man raised a finger grandly, shaking it at Black Widow. Have you looked?" "I'm not looking in your toilet," Black Widow replied seriously. "Then you can't say there's nothing in it, can you?" Iron Man snapped. Unable to stand there arguing any longer, Thor got up from the dining room table where he'd been eating a huge feast fit for a king, or a god. He slammed his hands on the table. "I will go look if it will stop this arguing." "We'll stay here," Captain America said, pointing to himself and Dr. Banner, who nodded in agreement. "I'll pass." Captain Marvel plopped down on the couch next to Dr. Banner. Iron Man and Black Widow followed Thor to Iron Man's private bathroom, trying to look over the God of Thunder's huge shoulders. When Thor got to the door, he carefully reached for the doorknob, turning it slowly in his muscled fist. Iron Man lowered his visor and closed his eyes. Black Widow put her hand on her gun holster, just in case. Thor opened the door to an empty bathroom. Black Widow relaxed immediately, turning to Iron Man. "Are you kidding me?" she asked accusingly. Iron Man held a finger up to where his mouth would be behind his mask. Shh. Thor entered the bathroom slowly. It took a minute for Black Widow to hear what they heard. Bubbles from the toilet. "What's that?" she asked. "Shh!" Iron Man said again. Thor slowly peered into the toilet, only to be attacked by a massive scaly lizard jumping out of the toilet, snapping at his face! To be continued. "What is this madness?" Thor roared, fighting with the lizard, throwing it on the floor. It was as big as a bear and looked at them with beady red eyes. If you could see his face, Iron Man would be smiling. He looked at his friends and he said, "Told you." Before they could deal with the first lizard, there were more bubbles. "It has friends," Thor said. Black Widow pulled out her gun, keeping her eye on the lizard that was hissing at them already. Iron Man charged a repulsor blast. "Waiting here is meaningless," Thor told them. "We must go to them, destroy them while they sleep." "Might want to deal with number one first." Iron Man nodded at the lizard, creeping closer to them. "Tony," Black Widow rolled her eyes. "Hey, that wasn't a joke! Look at that thing!" He pointed at the lizard, who hissed again. As Iron Man said this, the lizard jumped at him. Black Widow shot it, but the bullet bounced off its scales. "Run!" she said! The three heroes ran out of the bathroom. By the time they reached the living room, Captain America had his shield and was standing right next to the Incredible Hulk, who growled. They both stood behind Captain Marvel, though, because they knew better. "Hulk, you're up!" Widow called as the lizard arrived. The Hulk roared loudly, punching the lizard into the ground. A loud hiss and splash of water came from the bathroom. Captain America looked at Thor and Captain Marvel, nodded understandingly, then ran toward the bathroom. Thor followed him with Mjolnir, and Captain Marvel was already hovering off the floor, her whole body glowing. When they made it to the bathroom, another lizard was there, and the toilet was broken in pieces. As the lizard attacked Thor, Captain America threw a shield at it, slicing it in half. Thor wiped lizard guts off his face, looking at the captain incredulously. "Sorry," Captain America said sheepishly. We need to find where these beasts are coming from, now! Thor tried to look serious, even though he was still covered in lizard goop. Captain Marvel nodded, trying not to laugh. She followed Thor back to the living room where Black Widow was distracting the Hulk from playing with the lizard's dead body. We're heading to the sewers, Captain America ordered. After you, Black Widow said, charging her Widow's Bite gauntlets. Downstairs and outside, innocent citizens of New York were running away from dozens of red-eyed lizards coming out of the sewers and storm drains. Iron Man turned to the others. Marvel and I've got the boys up top. You find out where they're coming from. Am I taking orders from you now? Captain Marvel asked. You just don't want to get your armor dirty, Black Widow accused. You know it. Iron Man fired up his rocket boosters and flew above them, firing at the huge lizards in the street. Captain Marvel rolled her eyes. I'll keep him out of trouble. Black Widow turned to the Hulk. Make us an entrance, big guy. The Hulk turned to one of the sewer holes, raised his huge green fists above his head, then slammed them down. The small opening has now crumbled into a huge hole, the rocks falling into the sewers below. The Hulk leaped into the darkness without waiting for the rest of the Avengers. Captain America turned to Thor and Black Widow. Guess he's taking the lead on this one. Down in the sewers, the three Avengers followed Hulk's footsteps into the gunk, looking around them and trying not to barf. The smell of this place! It's vile! Thor said, holding his hand to his nose. Hopefully this will be a quick trip, Captain America said, holding his hand over his nose too. At a fork in the path, they found the Hulk facing half a dozen sewer lizards, all guarding a bunch of giant purple eggs with the black specks on them. Some of them had already hatched and were empty. Guess we know where they're coming from, Captain America commented. We got a plan? Black Widow asked. Captain America shrugged. Do what we do best. Thor lifted Mjolnir, Black Widow made her gauntlets electrified, and Captain America raised his shield. Avengers, assemble! Captain America yelled. Black Widow, Captain America, Thor, and the Hulk ran for the lizards. Thor beat them with Mjolnir. Captain America sliced them in half with his shield. The Hulk smashed them into bits. As a lizard came for Black Widow, she slammed an electric fist into his cheek. It got electrocuted. As they fought, more and more purple eggs hatched. The army of lizards was unending. Target the eggs, Captain America ordered, realizing it was their weakness. Gladly, Thor agreed, throwing Mjolnir through 3 eggs at once, hitting even more when he called the hammer back to his hand. Destroying the eggs only made the lizards angry, and they started to fight harder. But they were no match for the Hulk, who cracked the eggs left and right. Any lizard that got in his way got cracked too. Thor lifted Mjolnir. That'll do, Hulk, Captain America said when the job was done. He walked toward the Hulk, who was still making scrambled eggs. Captain! Thor shouted in warning. Behind him, an even larger lizard had his mouth open, sharp teeth glinting even in the darkness of the sewer, ready to bite, only to be slammed between 2 storm drain covers Black Widow was holding like cymbals in a marching band. Captain America looked at Black Widow admiringly. Thanks. Black Widow dropped the storm drain covers, grossed out by the lizard goop on them. My rhythm needs work. Sounded on beat to me, Captain America grinned. I heard no music, Thor said confusedly. The Hulk just growled. All right, big guy, let's see if Tony finished his chores, Captain America ordered, and they headed back the way they came. Back on the street, Iron Man was sitting on top of a pile of lizard bodies. Where have you guys been? Iron Man asked, showing off all his hard work. Scrambling eggs, Hulk growled. Gross, Iron Man replied. Still showing off? Captain Marvel asked. When they turned to look at her, they saw a pile of lizards 5 times as high as Iron Man's. That's not fair, Iron Man complained annoyingly. I know, Captain Marvel replied. A few days later, the Avengers are back in their tower when Iron Man comes running up to them in the living room. We have a... Black Widow pulls a storm drain cover from behind the TV. Captain America, Captain Marvel, Dr. Bruce Banner, and Thor laugh. Iron Man blushes, dropping his visor so they can't see, and says, "You guys suck." The end.
In regards to the May 19th article, "Entire Community Applauds Hawkeye," I feel the need to say, no, the entire community does not applaud Hawkeye. The sanitation workers who will be cleaning up around the crime scene for days won't be applauding, nor will the attorneys dealing with the wholly predictable lawsuits brought by the suspects. Applause, however, is the only thing Mr. Barton had in mind when he made a spectacle out stopping what amounted to a property crime with undue force and a disregard for civil rights. For a country that nominally opposes fascism, I find it appalling how often we collectively swoon over some costumed thug trampling over supposedly inalienable rights in the defense of some nebulous ideal of law and order. If we leave our fate in the hands of the unaccountable few, we deserve whatever future they make for us. Advancements in human science promise a future far safer than what they can provide, teeming with possibility. But sadly, we seem content with the bread and circuses of capes. George Tarleton, Hayward, California. Ultimately decided not to file a report. I took all of Sunday night off to clear my head, thinking of all the little compromises and betrayals of my principles that led me here. Somehow, in my desire to repair the world, I find myself allied with the very people that destabilize it. They are what they've always been. I have only myself to blame. I knew what the devil's bargain would entail. Tony thought I wouldn't notice, but he took terrigen from the containment facilities, like it was a parent's car to be borrowed for a joyride. And when I caught him, pointed out the unacceptable risk he took, he flashed me a stark smile and shrugged, like a charming schoolboy who believes he will face no consequences. And he won't. Who would hold Iron Man accountable? None of them answer to any laws or authority. He is who he has always been, and I am that I am. My voice will not be heard. So what is there to do but carry on and hope that in the end, something of myself and my principles still remain? Monica says that her regenerative formula is my only hope. There will be significant side effects. Considering where the cancerous growths are, I must assume it will affect my cognition. I don't know if I will be here tomorrow, or if I will be me. M has suggested recording my thoughts prior to her treatments, to review afterwards. Recalling what I wrote may give me a sense of continuity between treatments, as my mind is irrevocably altered. The resentment I quietly nursed for the last 5 years flows like a torrent. Everything that has happened to me, to the world, could have been avoided if it were not for their arrogance. Make no mistake, I am dying because of the actions of the Avengers. A-Day proved to me what I already knew. There would be no saving the world with the help of the Avengers. The world needs to be saved from them. Despite the unimaginable tragedy, if the rest of humanity finally sees them for the threat that they are, then perhaps A-Day is the best thing that happened to any of us. Before A-Day, I labored under the misconception that through diligence I could work my way up, through the myth of meritocracy, until I was in a position to elevate the world. Now, I do not know if my new way of thinking is a measure of how much my mind has changed, or how much I have learned. But back then, I was a fool. Stark and Banner became great by taking power when they could, by stealing what was not theirs, by branding and franchising. I have learned much under their tutelage. There is the power of their abilities, and there is the power that we surrender to them in fawning adoration. The latter was always the greatest and most deadly, but now, at last, that tide has changed. We no longer worship them like infant gods, and their power fades. When they dim and at last vanish, then humanity will have reclaimed what they stole from us. Only then can we walk together into a better future. Project Adaptoid continues to bear such perfect fruit. No one else sees it, but I feel the inertia inescapable. No matter how hard the abnormals rail against their obsolescence, like static in the air, ozone taste, it's coming. The AIM experience will push potential into kinetic. When we show the public we can replace the superhumans with something faster, stronger, and obedient to mankind, then what allure will the superhumans still hold? No one prefers having a king when they could have a slave. There will be many sacrifices. Monica begins to doubt, and in her indecision, she is incapable. She dreamed of apotheosis for decades, but now she quails before the dawn of the new flesh. Perhaps she no longer feels for me. Perhaps she never did. I watched what she did to Bruce. If I can no longer trust her, I can no longer trust the formula. I am willing to ride this rotting chariot of meat to the end, if it means a world without reliance on the superhumans. Without them at all. Monica is dead, by my will. Her usefulness was at an end long ago, and her betrayal and lies were enough to condemn. Her death makes my purpose clear. All else is ephemeral. For mankind to survive, the superhumans must be expunged, down to the memory. Dark terrigen, altered from the original form thanks to our research, is lethal to inhumans. Distribution is a mere afterthought. We have had the ability and the infrastructure. We only lacked the courage and will. In one day, I can reduce the inhuman population by 99.15%. So I will become an instrument designed for what I must do. For killing. A perfect mind inside a nightmare body. A mental organism designed only for killing. George Tarleton was an artifact of a past that no longer exists. MODOK is the way forward. I will drag us all beyond this prison of meat and matter. You are ash beneath a focused lens. I am the sun. Turn your faces to me, abnormals and humans alike. I am the mechanism of your ascension.
Listen closely, because I'm only gonna say this once. I cannot do what I was brought on board to do if you can't stand on your own 2 feet. Your continuing error is one of scale as well as vision, something I've come to expect from you science types. You've had the answer in front of you all along, if you'd been paying attention. Your machine intelligence is still not fast enough to mimic my reflexes, because you're still holding them back. Let go of your leash and allow your synthoids to follow my lead. If you give them unrestricted access to their higher functions, they'll follow my lead, just like good soldiers. By next milestone, I want to see a functioning prototype of your photographic reflex module. I don't care if you have to do it behind Monica's back. I want their behavior protocols disabled.
The sheer volume of research and patents we acquired in the takeover of Stark Industries almost overwhelmed us. It took months just to sort through them all. Initially, we separated them into multiple categories based on profitability. Stark kept so many toys for himself that AIM's initial expansion was paid for many times over with just a few product releases. Now that we've achieved the stability we require, we can make use of the tech that Stark himself put on ice. His squeamishness and hesitation in the face of his own research is a gift that we can't squander. I'm sending your team several nasty little ideas. I would like to see them incorporated into your training regimen immediately. And, Masters, no need to keep your methods secret from me. All I care about is results. Use anything at your disposal to achieve your ends. I brought you in for a reason.
I want to start treating them like soldiers. Between the hours of 11 p.m. and 3 a.m., we drill the machine learning algorithms in hunting and combat protocols in the forest above the facility. Put the code onto the basic combat model and use animal targets before we move up to live human targets. One of the goals of your facility is to pursue projects that would not be traditionally looked upon as appropriate or moral. As long as we remain careful, we don't have to worry about the prying eyes of nosy bureaucrats. They will be happy to reap the benefits of our work without ever having to see how the sausage is made. And when it's their turn to be fed into the meat grinder, they won't see it coming. As long as we can keep this facility a secret until the time comes.
This discussion is over. Your concerns are noted, and I'm insulted that you did not assume that I'd already weighed them against the benefits. Far from being a risk, Tony Masters' past as a SHIELD agent is added benefit to his appointment to the Adaptoid Project. Masters' innate photographic reflexes make him uniquely qualified to serve as the model and guide for our next phase of AI. His unequal talents of observation and mimicry will provide the baseline image for our combat simulations. But whereas his body is flawed and weak, the potential of our synthoids will be limitless. Once he has served his purpose, each generation of AI will be able to instruct the next. But for now, we need Masters.
I can't put what I do into words, but I don't need to explain anything to you. Just to the machines. Just make sure the monitoring headset is small enough not to impede my motion, but I know you people are adept at miniaturization. Your job is to record data from the trained source individual, the one I watch demonstrate the skill, and from myself as I master and repeat the skill set. You'll get better data if you also have a third party, one of your own security staff with standard mnemonic abilities. Have them watch the demonstration, and give repeating it the old college try. That gives the AI 3 distinct reference points to base its learning model off of: the trained original, unskilled repetition, and me. We'll start with Kinamote, one of the few martial arts I haven't had experience with yet, and then the control subject and I can go toe-to-toe. Make sure the space is easily cleaned. There'll be a lot of blood. I have been clear on my conditions of satisfaction for this project, and again, you failed to meet them. Let me be frank, because I respect your skills and don't believe you are intentionally trying to anger me. Your assessments are technically correct. Magnetically docked spherical wheels would provide increased maneuverability. Repurposing a ground effect generator would indeed increase stability. That isn't the point. You're approaching this like an engineer or an insect, and neglecting the human response to seeing a mobile weapons platform crawling towards you on 6 segmented legs, all hissing hydraulics and steel. The arthropod form taps into 500 million years of ingrained terror in vertebrates. You are quite literally evolved to fear the sight of them. Try to imagine the effect transposed to the scale of this mech. The psychological trauma of first contact alone is worth any minor technical downsides. I look forward to your next design, and let me know if you require a primer in the sort of emotional reaction I am trying to achieve.
It is with great pride that we announce the request for research applications that utilize terrigen energy. All project managers can request integration of terrigen generators into current endeavors. These new generators are compact, generate no waste heat, and are effectively limitless. From human exoskeletons in our medical division to help the disabled walk again, to devastating anti-personnel weaponry in our defense division, there's something for everyone. Think of what Terrigen Energy can do for your department and apply today. There is to be no public discussion of the research facility and the Terrigenesis testing on Inhumans. If any exposure of a team member results in pupation, report it immediately to internal security. It is with great pleasure that we announce the release of the latest generation of AIM AI. Building on former Stark Industries research, we have perfected a new generation of AI, more human-like than ever before. It passes all Turing tests with flying colors, while maintaining an intellect that surpasses any biological mind. From autonomous bipedal medical triage robots to advanced combat platforms skilled in infiltration, espionage, and on-the-fly tactical decision-making, every part of our organization can be improved by the integration of AIM AI. Remove language about the Turing test. When the AI is aware it's being tested, it reacts much the same way you or I would if our consciousness was questioned, with something approaching anger and resentment. Worse, they are smart enough to hide it. It is with genuine excitement that we announce the latest release of the HMI, Human-Machine Interface. Amputees can now control an advanced prosthetic with near-perfect precision, thanks to frictionless interaction between physical and neural systems. But why stop there? Imagine direct control of machines with just a thought, or the augmentation of the human body to be faster, stronger, quicker to react, and with external memory storage. The possibilities to improve our organization and ourselves are endless. We need to be cautious with this rollout. Our CEO has been utilizing nearly every new development from the HMI division, and I would hate to have to explain to him how a bug passed quality control. It is with great enthusiasm that we release to you the latest version of our active camouflage technology. Building on our early success with background projection and integrated surface displays used to hide stationary objects in plain sight, our latest version goes 10 steps farther. Active camouflage creates a distortion field that bends light, rendering buildings, vehicles, and even individuals undetectable and invisible to nearly all forms of biological and electronic surveillance. How you use this advancement is up to you. Not only will this revolutionize infantry warfare, but we no longer need fear detection at any of our facilities of conflicted legal status. Why beat around the bush here? This effectively makes the concern of federal oversight a thing of the past. We're in international waters everywhere now. Everything is permitted. It is with reverent pride that we announce our first truly nanoscale machines. Building on the stable power generation of Terrigen Energy, our self-replicating machines operate independently on the molecular level, and they are getting smaller all the time. Although in an early phase, they can be configured to nearly any application. From everyday construction, replication of any complex machine, to medical breakthroughs allowing for the repair of any tissue damage, this marks a turning point in human scientific progress. As the machines self-replicate, keep the closest eye on each generation. Any hint of deterioration in the kill switch, and this project ends. I don't need to tell you the dangers of an unchecked von Neumann event. We will deploy nuclear weapons if it comes to that. It is with great elation that we announce that our initial Void tech tests have met with stunning success. We have successfully harnessed the fabric of space, distorting gravity at the Planck scale. Although not ready for wider use, the eventual applications are nearly limitless. From the total destruction of physical matter on the battlefield, to the creation of stable transmatter passages allowing long-distance teleportation, the future truly belongs to AIM. No, this does not go wide. Pull it back and deal with any personnel that should not have been exposed. This is for high-level team members only. We have no less than 7 incidents so far of accidental spatial temporal fissures, and at least twice we have confirmed that some entity on the other side has observed us. Tread lightly here.
Odin Borson, Allfather, speaker to ravens. I put quill to parchment for the first time in years, because I do not feel worthy of facing you. I am not worthy of traveling the Bifrost to Asgard. I am not worthy of the gift of Mjolnir, which I have left behind. Father, because of me, a great man among the humans has died, along with many others whose characters I cannot fairly judge, but let us assume that on average, they were good people. Truly, many men, great and terrible, have died around, with, and because of me. And it is true that my companions in Midgard made many small and looming mistakes that led to this tragedy. But in the hubris of my trust in the sciences of men, I have allowed a terrible thing to come to pass. For in the end, they are but mortals, and gods alone bear the burden of true guilt. I do not know where my path will lead me, but I know I must walk alone in atonement. Please, embrace Mother for me. Frigga, blessed consort of the Allfather, Queen of Asgard, Mom. I write to you now because the Allfather did not respond to the letter I sent a month prior. I did not know how best to ensure its delivery, so I gave a copy to every raven I saw for nearly a week. I must assume that one of them has reached him and that his silence is the message. Perhaps he is so disgusted by my unforgivable lapse of honor that resulted in the death of so many, and also Steve Rogers, that he does not wish to sully himself in my shame. Perhaps it is my own churlish hand-wringing that drives him to silent judgment. It seems I must truly walk alone for my misdeeds. Tell Father I hear and respect his judgment. I will see you when I am worthy again. Loki, Lord of Liars, Trickster, Malefactor. Brother, spare me your false-tongued offers of sympathy. You know I have been brought low by my own failings, and I know it amuses you to no end, no matter what honeyed words slip from your rotten lips. I reach out to you now, not for sympathy, or to be mocked. I judge myself unworthy of returning to Asgard, and I will not set foot upon the holy Bifrost until I have made my atonement. But I find myself cut off from our father and mother, and their wisdom, which I need now more than ever. So I ask you now, in the spirit of fraternal devotion, if you have any left in your ink-stained soul, will you ask Odin why he does not respond? Bruce, Doctor of the Sciences, Avenger, friend, I do not blame you for what happened on the shores of the bay. How could I? You are but mortals, with a mortal's understanding of responsibility. The blame for the tragedy must be mine alone. I set out alone on the path of atonement, but I find that I am already lost. I lack the wisdom to see where I went wrong. I need the guidance of my father, Odin, but he will not respond to my missives. In fact, I am not sure what I want from you. Why would I think you could change Odin's mind? You are a brave and noble man, but you are just a man. If Odin will not speak to me, then I must accept that the answer I seek is locked within me. I do not think I shall send this letter. I miss you, Banner. I hope you know that. Steve, Captain, Avenger, friend. It does my heart good to think of you carousing with the great warriors in Valhalla. You truly deserve to be among them. In your passing, I saw my faults. I chased glory, all the while you set an example that put the gods to shame. You saved lives, not because the skalds would sing of your deeds, but because no matter how simple and lowly, each life was worth saving. I wanted my father to tell me what to do, but the answer was with you all along. Now, it is in me. I will go into the world. I will save lives and do good for its own sake, because each life is worth saving. In your honor, I will grow closer to you. When we meet again on Valhalla's field, I hope that I will have made you proud. I will see you on the other side, Stephen Rogers.
Natasha Romanoff can be seen on the ramp of a Quinjet hovering at low altitude as storm surge from the A-Day event floods the streets. From a secondary angle, we see Romanoff drop to the roof of a parked car. Inside the vehicle, multiple individuals can be seen trapped by the rising water. Romanoff breaks the windshield and reaches in, pulling the two occupants free. From another angle, cameras register a sudden rise in water levels, and Romanoff withdraws to the Quinjet with the survivors, leaving one individual inside the vehicle. As the Quinjet pulls out of view, the car is submerged. The footage ends with the destruction of all three cameras. Remaining occupant of vehicle, presumed dead.
While some are grateful for the temporary housing supplied by Stark Industries after A-Day, many have serious questions about their future. Melissa Gold, a 22-year-old student from Oakland, has serious concerns about the long-term plans for recovery.
I'm glad I survived, I guess. But we're in a refugee camp and my childhood home is sealed away behind a wall. It's great that we have a tent, stocked with Stark Industries branded survival gear, and there's no denying they saved thousands of lives that day, acting just like heroes should. But didn't they put all those lives in danger in the first place? And not everyone was as lucky as me, so yeah, I'm grateful for my new, Stark mug. But where will I be in a year, in 5? Will Oakland be around? Will I have a home? It's gonna be a long, hard road. Will the Avengers be with us then?
Melissa says she doesn't know when she can go home, and right now, she's not holding out any hope.
This article was contained in the memory buffer of Romanoff's personal phone when we acquired a partial copy. Unsent mail appears to show that Romanoff was considering contacting the journalist directly.
A-Day plus 40 days. Natasha Romanoff entered the Alameda refugee camp at 0400 hours. Her stated intent was investigating a lead on behalf of S.H.I.E.L.D. Romanoff then exited the camp at 0900 hours. Subjects' whereabouts inside the camp are unknown from 0500 to 0800 due to an unexplained failure of security cameras inside.
Romanoff was always the least invested of the Avengers, and it appears that even in the first months after A-Day, she was planning her departure. Our most reliable predictions show a strong probability that in her camp security breaches, which represented an enormous risk, Romanoff was searching for a way to profit from the chaos. Her contact with former black market associates that following week all but confirmed this prediction. While it might be attractive to offer a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, that doesn't match the observed behavior. What we do see, without much doubt, is a person who has already begun to revert to earlier learned survival behaviors. Miss Romanoff's time as an Avenger was brief compared to her time as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent or as a mercenary. Confronted with the disillusion of her social group, she will prioritize her own safety and freedom above all else. She will not take any risk that would threaten her livelihood.
I told you, we're wasting our time worrying about this one. Romanoff is underground, looking out for herself. Someday we'll flip a rock and there she'll be. But she won't act alone. Move on.
The refugee camps that were once a necessity can no longer be the solution. And with the help of AIM, we will rebuild the communities we lost, said now Program Director Melissa Gold. Hundreds of thousands were left permanently displaced after that tragic day, many of whom are still living in temporary emergency housing. But with a surprise donation of $2.4 billion from Advanced Idea Mechanics, things are finally looking up for the victims of A-Day.
We will be meeting tomorrow to discuss the systemic failure that allowed an undercover operative to access sensitive financial data and divert billions to a charity right under your noses. This was deliberate and meant to embarrass us. Expect repercussions. A former Avenger infiltrated this organization, and before being discovered, managed to breach our security as well as steal billions of dollars. A former Avenger we had written off. I will accept my own responsibility in this failing, and so will you, whether you want to or not.
Before I had the procedure, I couldn't control myself. My parents were terrified to be around me. 2 hours after the procedure, I was walking laps around the hospital floor, and I couldn't and wouldn't hurt anyone.
If you or a loved one is exhibiting the signs or symptoms of the inhuman disease, call your local AIM clinic to make an appointment to get tested. Clinical trials for the cure are accepting new patients daily. Don't live in pain. Let AIM help.
Abu noticed the blood pressure cuff I borrowed last week was missing, but assumed Dami misplaced it and it'll turn up. It's not like he needs to use it anymore. It was just a precaution when he had that heart attack scare. So far, according to the internet, my blood pressure's normal. So is my pulse and my temperature, thanks to that children's thermometer I found in the bathroom cupboard. I'm trying to think of what else I could test to see if I'm getting sick, but that would involve stealing more medical equipment. I kind of wish Abu worked in a hospital instead of a bank. I also kind of wish Abu would let me talk to him more about this stuff. But he wants to pretend like A-Day never happened. He might be the only one in the entire country.
The mayor of New York performed a first today, rewarding an inorganic entity with a key to the city. One of Advanced Idea Mechanics' new synthoids was honored on the steps of City Hall for bravery and heroism after he saved 6-year-old Holly Ann Ember from being crushed by an oncoming car. Her father, Sheriff Joseph Ember of Venture Ridge, Wyoming, said they were on vacation in New York and exploring Times Square when he lost sight of Holly Ann in the crowd. Luckily, the AIM synthoid was patrolling the area and saved the girl from the brink of death. This is not the first AIM device honored for its life-saving measures, but it's the first to get this kind of public and human recognition. CTO of AIM, Dr. Monica Rappaccini, commended the synthoid for acting according to its directives to preserve human life above its own. The mayor suggested both a contest to name the bot and a statue dedication in Central Park. As for the Embers, they were treated to a guided tour of one of AIM's facilities in New York by Dr. Rappaccini herself.
In one of the tallest buildings in New York, the Avengers lounged in their tower, waiting for a world needing saving. All was peaceful for once on a rare, calm day for the world's greatest superheroes. That is, until Iron Man barged in the living room swinging a plunger like a sword. "We have a problem," he announced, breaking the peaceful silence and making everyone wince. Dr. Bruce Banner peeked over the glasses resting on his nose. He wrinkled his brow, narrowing his eyes at the interruption to his readings. You'll have to be more specific." "In my toilet," Iron Man answered eagerly. Captain America was wearing a red, white, and blue apron, cooking in the kitchen. Captain Marvel came around the corner, still in costume, wiping sweat from her face. "Oh good, I'm starving," she said tiredly. "Training S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to fight aliens is not easy." "It's gonna be a while," Captain America said, still measuring ingredients. "Shall I order pizza then?" Thor asked. "No!" both captains said. Thor looked grumpy. He was the only one who liked pineapple on his pizza.
Hope Pym, daughter of the still-missing scientist Dr. Henry Hank Pym, announced at a press conference yesterday that the reward for any information on her missing father's whereabouts had been increased to $100,000, double the amount offered after Dr. Pym's disappearance 3.5 years ago. Police have reported no new leads in the case since the note found in his home claiming plans to flee the country was identified as counterfeit. No signs of struggle or DNA evidence was recovered. Ms. Pym claims her father was last seen attending a benefit for the groundbreaking of a free AIM clinic for inhuman patients in Brooklyn, but several witnesses reported Dr. Pym leaving the event early in his personal vehicle, which valet receipts corroborate. Though Ms. Pym claims her father had an extensive security system, no evidence of such a system was found at his home. If you have any information on Dr. Pym's whereabouts, please call the police tip line at 555-PYM-NO.
Dear Mr. Pertuse, it was with great concern and regret we received your letter in regards to your wife and son and their disappearance on A-Day. As an employee of a well-respected contractor with advanced idea mechanics, we felt it was only right to go above and beyond to answer your questions. I wish we had better news, but there is no record of your loved ones being rescued from the disaster. As you know, the rescue and recovery efforts in San Francisco are still ongoing, even 5 years on. I cannot in good conscience promise that they may still be found alive, but I can assure you that AIM is doing everything in their power to find you an answer to what happened to your loved ones. In the meantime, enclosed is a check to help you and the rest of your family, though it cannot possibly match the cost of all you have been through. We hope this will aid you in these difficult times, and that you will continue to work with Advanced Idea Mechanics as a valued partner and member of the AIM family. Sincerely, Dr. Lyle Getz, Lead Researcher, Advanced Idea Mechanics.
You asked me to flag any offers involving Stark Industries holdings on auction. There's a new startup based out of Nevada called MythSign, who have made a rather large offer on several of the lots. We've done our due diligence. MythSign looks legit. I don't see any reason why we should refuse their offer, except for their interest in lot ST-7981, which you had listed as a potential target of Mr. Stark. It contains the contents of his personal office acquired in the merger. MythSign asked if it could be sent separately from the other shipments. We're waiting on your authorization now. Here's the incident report you requested. It was one of many, so apologies for the tardiness. Mr. Stark was prolific in his attempts to gain access to Stark Industries facilities in the past 2 years. Tony Stark gained access to his former office by donning a pair of coveralls and staring at a blank clipboard. He went unnoticed until he attempted to remove an object from inside a locked cabinet, setting off his own alarm system. He withdrew one item, which security retrieved as he was being ejected from the building. It was a bulky cellular phone. It's still currently part of lot ST-7981, although listed as inoperative. Please let us know if you need anything else.
In the last hours of the competition to unlock the target phone and win the prize, 15-year-old wunderkind Tony Stark's plan finally fell into place. While his fellow competitors were ultimately stymied by the biometric locks in the target phone's memory, Tony spent the first 20 hours of the competition building a new, blank phone from spare parts, much to the confusion of onlookers. But with the clock ticking, young Stark's plan became clear. He was able to duplicate the contents of the target phone onto his new device, bypassing the biometric locks entirely and gaining access to all the data contained. Using his handmade phone, the solder still warm, Stark was able to access the final clues, complete the puzzle, and claim victory over his classmates. A thrilling end to a white-knuckle event, and another feather in the cap of MIT's latest boy genius, son of Stark Industries CEO, Howard Stark.
Good catch. It's Stark. MythSign. It's an anagram for my things. Not even a clever anagram. He's not trying to be sneaky because he thinks this is beneath me. Let the deal go through, but send the wrong shipment in place of ST-7981. Apologize profusely, blame shipping, and then send the rest of the garbage he has no interest in. When he asks about the missing lot, tell him it's adorable to see him so sentimental, and Monica will be sure to keep it close by. Then have legal file any and all lawsuits and complaints against MythSign LLC. Take the lawyers off their chains and let them smell blood.
Ma'am, I know you're waiting on the formal incident report, but I think you'd like to hear it from me first. At 03:18, on Tuesday morning, once we'd told Mr. Stark that you'd keep the phone, there was a failed attempt to breach the vault by a drone. At that point, we arranged to transfer the phone to your private archives. It appears that was likely the intent of the attack all along. Once the phone was out of the shielded vault, it booted back up and made contact with an unknown network. Once it did connect, it must have received a self-destruct signal and rapidly entered thermal runaway. It was destroyed. Looks like he didn't really want the phone. He just didn't want you to have it.
I'm afraid no good news. MythSign entered Chapter 7 bankruptcy and is being liquidated. There is no individual to pursue for damages. I think at best, we may retrieve those few Stark Industry lots we already sent. The MythSign bankruptcy press release has an encoded message at the end. We've had the Crypto Boys make sense of it, presented without further commentary. Monica, hope my gloating finds you in good health. Thrilled to see you never knew what you had. I hid something on that phone a long time ago, something I didn't even trust myself with. And now it's out of your hands. I'm not short-sighted enough to call this a victory, but I do plan on taking a lap. See you next time. Kisses. Tony.
Tony, I've been trying to keep my cool, but it's time we acknowledge this breakthrough. Tarleton has completed his initial research, and I've reviewed his findings. This isn't an incremental change. This is a game changer. We're limited by the amount of the crystals he managed to retrieve, but even the samples he synthesized are capable of enormous power generation. This is clean, near limitless fuel. Now, I know right now you're thinking of what dumb giant robot you can build, but we're talking end of the energy crisis. Tony, we're talking a new world.
Such an absurd thing to worry about. Too happy. Like the punchline to a vaudeville joke. But there's a clear correlation. These last few weeks have been some of the happiest in memory. No, not happy. Content. Working with the others. Finally finding a purpose to what I thought was a curse. It's what I imagine coming home feels like. But it's affecting the Hulk. He's different. More reticent to come when I need him, just by a moment. Not enough that anyone else would notice, but I do. I've reviewed the after-report footage, and I swear, he seems smaller, somehow. Perhaps a step slower. There's an emotional complexity to him that I didn't want to acknowledge. We're tied together. Emotions flow both ways, and now that balance has shifted. Contentment isn't the opposite of anger. It's the absence. So, that's my new anxiety. If I keep getting better, could he vanish entirely? Oh, he's jealous. That enormous idiot is jealous of Monica. 3 separate times he tried to take control when I was headed to meet her. There were clumsy attempts that I could resist with the most, basic breathing exercises, but it was like he wanted me to be anywhere but with her. How much is he conscious of the link between our states of mind? My happiness might feel
like an existential threat to him, something his survival instincts are screaming at him to fight. He never seemed to have a discernible reaction to my relationships in the past. I mean, is it possible he doesn't approve? Or... No, my God, that's foolish. Maybe Monica makes me happier than I've been able to admit to myself, but he sees through it. Maybe this time really is different. And now at work, I mean, it's like when we first began with the Avengers, he's less reliable, he's slower. God, I feel like I'm being punished. I need to keep a log of transformations. I woke up yesterday night with zero recollection of change and 2 hours of missing time. I found myself sitting naked on an outcropping a few miles from the Chimera. And if I'm honest with myself, I haven't been this concerned for my well-being since before the Avengers. Hulk always knows. Testifying upset me more than I'm willing to admit. I hope Monica was right. I hope that we had to show some sense of honest accountability. Because Tony hasn't called me back since DC. When it gets bad like this, Hulk takes the reins for longer and longer. I can't lose complete control. Not again. Monica's gone. The person I thought would stand beside me when everyone else would not has left. I'm not even worth the courtesy of a call, just silence. And I don't even know what I did. I want so badly to feel angry. But all I feel is guilt and shame. I opened my big mouth in the hearing and I let them down. And I can't take it back. And it might be the end of it. And now I feel something brewing deep in my core. I mean, he is in there. Just tormented by everything I've let happen. I want to give in to them. Into the abyss. Which is crushing me. And it's making him sick. The awful gravity of it all punched a black hole right through me and into him. And now we're both just empty and hollow. Before all my feelings of happiness constricted him, he fought back. I can feel him fighting back against this, but it's different. I don't know if he can win. And I don't know if I want him to. I need to go somewhere we both feel safe. Somewhere where we can figure this out.
There's nothing left for me, is there? No family, either by blood or choice. Monica betrayed me. It's so clear to me now, but I somehow missed it. I can't stand the feeling. The hurt. It's crushing me. My friends blame me, and there's a little of me that blames them for what happened in San Francisco. Even if we were together again, there's too much built up now. It's like a fatal barrier of scar tissue and animosity. Even this, sitting in a decommissioned base, hiding, waiting for nothing. There's real work to be done. People still need the Avengers, but we are just gonna let all this hate out there and loathing inside us tear it all apart. I can't do it on my own. He wouldn't mope like this. We all wring our hands when the lion kills the gazelle. But he is beyond this fatal introspection. He simply is. He deserves to live more than I do. And I don't want to share this body anymore. Good night, everyone.
$60. Thank you for getting the station's private network operational. It seems even Tony Stark was unaware of his father's more esoteric enterprises. For someone so in love with his legacy, Tony spent precious little time maintaining it. Howard Stark prepared the station for war, so I imagine the transition into a working laboratory wasn't easy. You can be sure you will be handsomely rewarded in due time. Knowledge of this lab is to be shared with no one, AIM security clearance or no. You will be rewarded handsomely for your loyalty, but your livelihood is heavily dependent on you keeping your end of the bargain. Sincerely, M. Subject is now in what amounts to be a medically induced coma, which will allow us to do our experiments in some semblance of peace. We're still working on a way to do a full assessment of subject's unique abilities without giving away our location and scrapping the whole project. There are a number of ways forward here, and I've consulted with several experts on purely hypothetical methodology. Some suggested I still consider subject for the Adaptoid program, but his abilities are too tied to human physiology. Some also suggested we wake him up, but I've seen the damage he can do. Even in the vacuum of space, he's far from harmless. I find myself talking to him. I know his particular set of abilities don't give him the intelligence to understand what I'm trying to accomplish here, but lacking a similar intellectual confidant leaves me speaking with the ether, in subject's general direction. There's so much more we could gain from him beyond a regenerative formula or rapid cellular duplication or any other plate I currently have spinning. But that requires waking a sleeping dragon. And I happen to enjoy having my head firmly on my shoulders. Anyway, blood cultures are looking just as remarkable as last month, and the month before that. I almost feel bad keeping this kind of marvel from George, but I suppose there are actually 2 sleeping dragons in my life at this moment. Stop trying to throw each other to the wolves. I take full responsibility. Despite her education, Dr. Helen Gable had no business in our Asgard initiative from the beginning. All the markers were there. The rigid, legalistic thinking, the speech peppered with unconscious religious allusions, her childhood history. I knew all of it, and I put her in charge. Descent into hyper-religious mania was a predictable outcome. We don't know what Dr. Gable has planned with the artifacts that she stole, or how she was able to convert so many AIM personnel to her cause when she defected. Yes, this concerns me, but I don't regret it. Only a zealot's drive could have unlocked the secrets of those artifacts. What she uncovered before her delusions took her has already made the initiative a 10-fold success.
Odin Borson, Allfather, Speaker to Ravens. I have come to depend on your lack of answers, Father, for I can truly be honest in these letters. I do not even have to send them, but I long for your wisdom, now more than ever. It has been a long while since any of the humans of Midgard truly worshipped us. Our sacred runes are forgotten to them, only seen now in the fading ink of regrettable tattoos. To tell the truth, I have liked it this way. I did not recall how much devotion made me feel so unworthy. But it has begun again. I can feel it like a gathering storm. Fanatics, calling themselves the Woken of Asgard, scratching at the past, bringing back the old ways. I know there is honor and wealth in our past, but like the plague or chamber pots, I confess I had hoped the humans had moved on.
Friends, every day we hold the works of the gods in our hands. We grow numb to their wonder, but even as we break them apart to learn their workings, we have forged undeniable connections between us and the divine. Make no mistake, we are beyond fortunate to be where we are, but it is more than fortune. I believe that we, all of us, have been chosen. We were chosen because we alone are awoken to the wonder of Asgard and what it offers. We alone are worthy. I do not make these proclamations lightly or timidly. I know, beyond all doubt, that we are here for a reason. I know because Thor, God of Thunder, revealed himself to me. I have stood in his presence. I have quailed before his storm, but he has found me worthy of his truth. Now I hand this truth down to you with open eyes. We are awoken, chosen of Thor. We will listen and follow in his wake.
Dr. Rappaccini, we've done our best to retrieve the data that Gable and her followers tried to destroy, but she was thorough. It seems that she had been keeping two separate logs of her discoveries, one that was passed to AIM leadership and yourself, and one that was private. For the most part, those records were identical, but in the last year, they appear to diverge wildly. She had been working directly with an artifact that we initially believed to be a fragment of a weapon. Her public research notes confirm this fact, but privately, she had discovered that it was a key of sorts, unlocking some form of doorway or perhaps a vehicle. She was certain that it led back to the device's creators in Asgard. She believed that from a complete key, she could reverse engineer the method of transit, but was unable to learn more at this time. Shortly after that is when we believe she was contacted by the outside agent we discussed. That's when everything went to hell.
My fellow travelers, your discretion and precision in these last few weeks have filled me with pride. I know it was not easy to conceal our purpose from AIM, but your dedication and determination does not go unnoticed. So I come to you today with the most glorious of news. Thor has given me a revelation. Now that he is satisfied with our effort, the rest of our divine path lies ahead. We are done with AIM and this mundane world. We will take what we need and salt the earth behind us. The way ahead will only grow more challenging. Thor and I will ask much of you in the coming months. But what he offers is nothing less than paradise. My brothers and sisters, Thor has found us worthy, and if we will follow him, he will take us home. He will lead us to Asgard.
For all of my dealings with the mortals, there will forever be a gulf between us, because I am a god. I can never forget that, although I choose to ignore it most days. When I disappeared from the world of men, Helen Gable and her followers still found a twisted version of me. Religion can be an excuse for humans, an apology in advance for intended atrocity. They will do it in our name, and the worst of them believe they are right. The imposter who walks in my footsteps knows this, and will continue to mislead them into darkness. I cannot allow this. I know that I have a great responsibility if I choose to walk in Midgard. Whether or not I am worthy, all the humans see is a god. If I do not speak, the humans will do so themselves in our name. And no man speaks for Thor.
Dr. Rappaccini, we went back and reviewed Dr. Gable's correspondence with internal AIM team members just prior to her defection. The makeup of the terrorist cell is generally representative of AIM personnel stationed at the same facility as the Asgard program, indicating she was recruiting openly. But you were correct in that we can draw inferences based on the effort spent in converting certain key individuals, and it seems she had a vested interest in recruiting individuals with very specific backgrounds. Specifically, anyone who worked on the Einstein-Rosen Bridge project was highest on her list. You'll recall that's when we attempted to create a stable wormhole between two microscopic singularities for instant connection between two distant points. The internal records have been expunged following the containment incident, but the few surviving team members were highest on her list. Whatever her endgame is, that's currently the best lead I can offer.
My brothers and sisters, the time has come. Thor has shown himself to me once more. This shall be the last time that he reveals himself to us on Midgard. For very soon, we will walk with the gods. We knew this was coming. There will be fear and anxiety, but we are prepared. You will sell what you can and leave the fragments of your old lives behind you. You may be tempted to say goodbye, or to offer comfort to those you are leaving behind. But we can take no risks. Those who do not see the truth have no place with us now. It will be difficult. Thor will ask much of us in the coming days. A prophet of a false god might ask for your faith and for your trust. I will do no such thing. We are here, lives on the line, not for faith, but for certainty. We are all people of science. Faith is what a charlatan asks for. We have seen the truth, undeniable and material. We have the light of the gods to guide us, and we will not falter.
In the end, Dr. Gable and Thor provided us with one final experiment, and I suspect we will be parsing the data for some time. Gable fulfilled her purpose, just as intended. We learned from her failures as well as her successes. We move forward. Dr. Gable looked at the Asgardians and saw proof of the divine. I see no such thing. I see a stepping stone. The Asgardians are beings of great power, surely, but they fight, bicker, and die just like us. I did not collect those artifacts so that we could learn to better praise them. I did it so we could one day learn to surpass them. Today, we just took a great leap forward.
None of the others have admitted it's over, but I can smell the rot in the air. Tony won't speak to Bruce after DC.
Thor's gone longer than usual. And Clint, who knows? It was a good run. If Steve was still here, I could I told you so him into the dust. But no one likes to be told they were wrong. So I'll jump, like always, before someone pushes. I said my goodbyes, even if no one knew that's what they were. I can go anywhere. I can go back to before. I'd be lying if I said that wasn't attractive. I don't get to do that. There's no undoing what we did and what we've become. It's a part of us all now. And out there, all that damage doesn't go away just because we do. The Avengers died on A-Day. But I didn't. All I have to do now is find a way to live with it. We're all gonna have to do it alone. You blunt your sharp edges on a team or else you cut each other. There's strength in it, but it's a sacrifice. I made it knowingly again and again because together we were accomplishing something. Or we thought we were. I was always better alone. Slipping back into the old skills feels like coming home. I can be as sharp as I need and cut when I want. AIM was concerned that an agent might infiltrate their organization, but they were concerned about espionage. I simply forged references and applied for a job. I've since pointed out the security flaw, and new employees are rigorously cross-checked. Too late to keep me out, but at least I get the credit. As long as George or Monica don't recognize me, I am embedded. It'll be a long time before any of this bears fruit, but I am right where I need to be. No one to confirm orders, no one else to watch out for. I miss those guys, but I can do more good on my own. AIM has grown increasingly paranoid through its expansion, much of which I have deliberately stoked to control its direction. When they post-mortem my infiltration, they'll learn a great deal. But for the time being, it's all simple sleight of hand and misdirection. Children's birthday party stuff. They have files on me. They knew more about the old days than Fury did. Scared me how good their research was. Some of those days I had forgotten, deliberately. AIM lost Bruce around the same time everyone else did. Tony's completely in the wind, though I have an idea where he might be holed up. They have some sightings of Thor, but I've corrupted the data points enough that they won't be able to track him. I can't interfere with these reports too closely or a pattern will emerge. A gentle push here and there, but it's an almost unacceptable risk. I keep telling myself this will be the last time, but here I am, dragged right down again. I was so much better at this when I didn't care. It was my fault. AIM has an algorithm sniffing for coincidences, and it picked up my traffic on the Avengers files. Of course, I never used my terminal or logins. I didn't know his name, but it turns out he was a fan. He'd been visiting hero fan sites on his lunch breaks. That was the last mark against him. If I'd tried to intervene, we'd both be dead. The worst part wasn't that it was hard for me. It was that it was easy. It was so easy. This is who I used to be. Before the Avengers. I know exactly what Steve would say. He'd ask me if that man's life was worth my silence. I don't have an answer for that yet. And that's as good as a no. I'm a sharper blade on my own. But I'm not better. That was a lie. I'm better when Steve was there to hold me accountable. I don't know if I can do that on my own. I found the kid's name and next of kin, and added them to the Foundation's planned disbursement. He's a victim of A-Day and me, as much as anyone else. Someone else is gonna have to die for me before this is over. At least one. I can try to justify it, but when I strike and the depth of my activities becomes known, Monica and Tarleton will require blood. Maybe it's gonna come from one of the ghouls in Monica's orbit. It might be someone who deserves it. But I have no way of knowing.
I'm in the dark. Of course it's worth it. That's beside the point. What matters, what the blood lesson is for me, is that we only get here weighing ends against means when we have no one else to rely on. Before, this never would have bothered me. Wouldn't have even registered. When I told Steve what I used to do, I didn't know how I'd take it. Smug jerk just smiled and said, "Well, you can never go home again." I'm damned if he's not right. Time's up. Just like with the Avengers, death is in the air now. I've crossed lines that will lead back to me. Just a matter of time. If it wasn't for Kamala, I could have stayed a little longer. I can't begrudge the kid. She did good. Everything's been ready for months. Just needed to wait for the right moment. Jump before the push. This is the worst part. No more work to do, no time to act. I don't know what comes next. But it feels like gravity. We can't go home again. Steve was right. But we can make new homes. We all had to find a way to make our peace with what happened. There was no way I could have held their hands through it. If I did, it would have been meaningless. We can't be the Avengers again. But maybe we can be something new.
Hey, Rhodey. I would throw a tantrum and say I want my suit back, but not even that belongs to me. I signed it all over to Uncle Sam because I couldn't foresee a world where we weren't on the same side. Me armored exoskeleton, Sue armored exoskeleton, I thought. No such thing as gentlemen's agreements, turns out. You watched what they did, locked me out of the facilities I built, disassembled me and everything I built in front of the world, and while I was trying to hold the pieces together, j.Hammer buys majority share, and Monica brokers the sale of my seized assets. I also know that you fought for me. I know you argued with Ross, and when he wouldn't go to bat for me, you contacted Senator Cabot directly. Yeah, I still have birdies inside. Shh. I also know that it got you iced out of any future decision-making. You put yourself on the line for me and got burned. Good, Scab. But also, thank you. Don't trust the bastards. Nat, I need your help. I'm gonna skip the fun Tony part because I'm too anxious, if that gives you a sense of how freaked out I am. They're taking everything that was any part of the Avengers or any joint project with the government. I have a court order to stay away while they catalog the assets. I need you, Nat. I need you to get inside and delete my browser history. Sorry, the jokes. Okay, for real? There's something that I already removed from the servers. Dumped it on a solid-state quantum storage device that looks exactly like a cheap external drive and had it couriered to you. I want to move him and leave no trail, and for that, I need your expertise. I have a destination in mind. He'll be safe there, for a while at least. Please, Nat. He's not a tool that we can just turn over. We should have had him legally defined as a person when we had the chance, but I screwed up. We owe him. Tony. Hey, Steve. I thought about writing this on an actual piece of paper with a pen because that's exactly the corny garbage that would have made you smile. But you're dead, and my hand cramped up just thinking about it, so you get an email. It's gonna bounce off of your email address undeliverable, but I'm feeling nostalgic. I told you about Golden Acres, the family retreat, right? I know nostalgia is basically your superpower, but I guess I expected to feel something more coming back here. This is one of the last properties in my name where I spent childhood summers, and somehow I just can't summon up the strength to care. Maybe I've lost too much already. Like a defense mechanism against more pain. Jeez. What an insufferable killjoy I've become. You'd hate me right now, Steve. God knows I do. It's too late to change sheets and air out a bedroom. I'm gonna crash in the RV tonight. Get to it tomorrow, I guess. I miss you, pal. T. Maria, how are you? I'm fine too. Listen, I need some advice and also possibly legal and financial assistance. I don't know if you're still monitoring this address, but I don't have anyone else. I burned a lot of bridges, and I realize now why there's an idiom advising against it. I owe money to some people that you might charitably call violence-prone, low-level criminals. In a vain attempt to raise some capital to buy back Stark shares, I've been gambling, which sounds even stupider when I say it out loud. And it turns out, I'm not good at it, hence owing the money. They came to collect, with baseball bats. I had a prototype of a new repulsor strapped to my hand, so yeah, I may have deployed forbidden weaponry in a civilian zone. I'm fine, thanks for asking, but I realized this is going to land on your desk if it hasn't already. I don't need money, I need you to slow down that report for as long as you can. I'm realizing I can't stay quiet out here forever, but I could really use a head start. Anything you can do. For old time's sake. Tony. Thor! Hey, pal. I know you have about as much chance of answering this as Steve, but I was just in ye old workshop rocking out, and I suddenly realized how much I missed you, pal. You want to come visit and hammer some stuff? I could drink goat's milk out of a horn on my own, but it wouldn't be the same. I've been busy lately. Been a while since I designed a new suit, and it's slow going without a proper assistant, virtual or otherwise. Maria told me they had some sighting of you in New York, or at least sightings of someone as enormous and unfairly handsome as you. I choose to believe it was you, because the alternative is that you went back to that Renaissance fair world of yours and I never see you again. I mean, I am still kind of pissed at you for rabbiting, not gonna lie, but most of the damage, me and my multi-month mope. Well, now I'm done with it. I'm not letting it ground me anymore. I'm back. But damn, I'm lonesome. Where are you, man? T.
Bruce, I already made a bit of a fool of myself at our first meeting. I hope you won't hold it against me if I continue that trend. Can you blame me for being a little overwhelmed by my present company? You and Tony have been absolutely welcoming, and I wanted to thank you for making a difficult situation as frictionless as possible. I know that Dr. Tarleton can seem a little frosty, but he's privately told me that he's grateful for your magnanimity. It's been a hard transition for the both of us, adapting to the pace at which the Avengers work, but I promise that we're up to the challenge. You mentioned coffee earlier, and if that wasn't just a performative pleasantry, I'd like to call your bet and raise you. Let me take you to dinner. You're new in town, and I never go out, so it'll be a novelty to us both. Name the time, Dr. Banner. I'm game. Monica.
Monica, can you please call? I understand if you don't want to talk, but I just want to know you got home after, okay? I'm not going to apologize for Tony. I'm so used to his effortless narcissism that I've learned to let it slide, and I just try to ignore it. Because if I didn't, the Hulk would have smashed him long ago. Haha. But I have the privilege of just ignoring him. It wasn't my discovery that he put his name on, again. He's not evil. He just gets excited and can't slow down. He's so self-absorbed that it borders on solipsism. There is only Tony. Anyway, let me try to make it up to you. I can move around the next round of trials so that the mass spectrograph lab is free for a few days. I got clearance for you to use the whole suite over the weekend for the paper you've been working on.
Who knows, maybe you'll even let me review it when you're done. I'm sorry, I don't know how to be romantic. I'm just doing my best.
Big guy, I'm so sorry if I worried you. That was so thoughtless of me not to think of how you must have felt. Look, Tony is not the first buffoon I've worked with, just the most famous. I know from experience that I gain nothing by making a scene, so I blew off my steam on a brisk walk. I must have had my phone off, and here you were thinking I was mad at you. Poor thing. I know you're in a hard situation, and I see you trying to make it right every day. That's all that matters. It's so sweet of you to get me lab time, but it's absolutely not necessary. Okay, twist my arm, I'll take it. Let me make it even. On Friday, we'll go back to my apartment, I'll cook up the number to a delivery place, and then we'll do something really decadent and wild, like go to bed at a reasonable time and sleep a full 8 hours. What do you say, M? Not going to get what I'm looking for from Bruce. While there's much to learn from his blood, his contribution to my regenerative formula is at an end. I've had essentially unfettered access to blood samples, but he requires significantly more tranquilizer in his food than a man of his size should, and that makes the extraction dangerous. Any more, and he would begin to suspect. I'll continue to maintain him as a strategic asset, but I can release the grip a bit now. No trace of the Hulk in Bruce's blood, and no way to provoke the change in the laboratory. Even tried screaming at the petri dish. The gamma fingerprint lingers, but nothing more. If I want to see the secrets in the monster's blood, I will need to find a way to take it directly from him. This is a challenge for tomorrow. And then there's Rogers. Don't yet know how to solve for him. I get the uncanny sensation when he looks at me that he sees. I'm not used to that, and it unnerves me. But by God, I want to know what flows in his veins.
Hey, Lenny. Long time no see. George passed on your message. Cute address. By the way, I'm assuming you made it just for me. You're right to be angry. I shouldn't have left the table without saying a proper goodbye the other night. I'll cut to the chase. You'll have your money, and a lot faster, if I have full use of my knees. No need to find out where I live, no need for more threats. Give me 3 days, and we'll both be able to walk away happy. What do you say? Hugs and kisses. Tony. Hey, P. It's me. You know, the charismatic genius screw-up you were dumb enough to fall in love with. I keep asking you to be patient, and you have been, more than I deserve. But I'm still working things through, and you don't want to see where I'm living. It's a fixer-upper, much like me. But what's new? Another month, 2 max is all I need. That'll give me the time to finish 1 or 2 home improvement projects. I'll be in touch. I hope you'll be there. Love you. T.
Stark, I know you still check this address. Your antics are becoming tiresome. Stop them, or I'll be forced to take legal steps to make your life even more miserable than I imagine it already is. You're not the only faded hero who decided to secrete themselves in a cave of their own making. Find other ways to amuse yourself. Monica.
Section 15.6.8b. Special notice to shareholders. Tony Stark. I know you're reading this. I ask myself, what is the one thing we can guarantee that Tony Stark can't let go? Money can be remade. You don't seem to care too much for your gaudy suits with a new one each month. Friends? Nah. No one could destroy your relationships faster than you. It's the name. Your name. Your father's name, your company. And what's left is mine now. I know you still get these shareholder reports under a series of false names, and that continues because I allow it. because it lets me pour salt on a wound that you graciously hold open. You know that AIM let me have these holdings for a bare song and dance. You can read how little it was worth on page 124. But to me, of course, it was priceless. Follow along, Tony, from whatever little hole you've scurried into, and watch as I take apart everything you've made and build it again in my name.
On a personal note, we haven't worked together before, so I thought it fair that we establish protocol. We allowed you to purchase the Stark holdings because I knew that it would personally infuriate Tony, which will in turn keep him emotional, reactive, and predictable. However, you will function effectively as a subsidiary of AIM. You will sell to us first at the prices I set. I must stress that this is not up for discussion or debate. I own enough shares to oust you before lunch, should you and I fall out of each other's good graces. I hope you will understand and appreciate my bluntness in this matter, but it's better that we get on the same page now. Please don't think of this as a threat, but a motivating promise. I look forward to many years of doing business together. M. Rappaccini.
Monica, you've gone too far this time. I will not allow... Scratch that, back up. Monica, I'm afraid that I cannot allow your most recent amendment to our contract. We can have our legal emissaries fight over the details, but if this comes to light, it could ruin me. And if I am facing criminal charges, then... Scratch, back up. Monica, I need to speak with you in person at your earliest convenience. If I understand what you're intending to do with the latest prototypes, it is not only immoral, but breathtakingly stupid and... Scratch. Monica, don't do this. I don't know what... No, never mind. Just damn it all, Justin. She's gonna eat you alive. What have you gotten yourself into? Scratch. Stop dictation and delete file.
Esteemed Mr. Hammer, I game this out 100 ways, and in exactly 0 of them, I get out with my dignity. So let's get this over with. I'm not going to make this a joke. I need your help, and I'm willing to grovel, in addition to offering you money, of course. My shame is priceless, but not legal tender. I know you're smart enough to know what we're doing. Because I am debasing myself like this, then you must know you have something we need, desperately, to keep doing what we're doing. I know you're not a good man, but I know you're not like her. I know appeals to your morality aren't likely to motivate you, hence the money. And a promise. Seeing Monica knocked down 1 peg at a time. I know you see the value in that. When I went down, you made a fortune in my wreckage. You can do it again. Help us now, and we'll help you.
Tony, Forgive me for enjoying this moment more than is seemly, but I read your email more than once and enjoyed your more poetic self-deprecation. Your attempts at earnest humility are charming, if not particularly authentic. But I believe your aim is sincere. If I thought there was more blood in this stone, I'd make you dance a little longer. But that wouldn't be sportsmanlike. No one likes a sore winner. You know that best of all. Given our mutual understanding of our new positions and stations, I believe that we can assist each other. You are indeed correct with regard to my business partner. I would be happy to see her suffer how you did. Now, if I have any hint that you intend to deceive me, I will hand you directly to her. Believe me, you don't want that. You think you know her. You don't. We must be cautious from here.
Maria, let's go for twice in one day. You were right. It was the hesitation that was killing me, so I did the Band-Aid thing, like you said. The fast Band-Aid thing, not the wait for it to come off on its own Band-Aid thing. He ate it up. The groveling worked so well he barely tried to bargain. Always stunning how smart people can be so consistently and predictably stupid. Do not say the next thing you were about to say. Skip it. Pretend that I engage in self-reflection from time to time. He thinks we bought a subscription, but I just need one delivery. As soon as we get it, we'll reverse engineer the AIM systems that Hammer has integrated with my old patents. Once we understand the interface, we can replicate the hybrid circuits without his tech, and then we no longer need Justin Hammer. But let's keep pretending as long as we can. We don't need any more enemies right now, and this is an opportunity to keep one close.
Dear Dr. Pym, as part of our recent acquisition of Stark Industries, I came into possession of a great deal of documents and correspondence that Stark had never responded to. Yours, of course, was among the numerous missed opportunities. Part of our company culture has been to not only learn from past failures, but to succeed where our predecessors did not. Stark and the rest of his associates have left behind ample opportunities for both. It has always been clear to me that Stark harbored some dull and juvenile resentment of you and your accomplishments, but we don't need to let that hinder us any longer. AIM would be honored to partner with Pym Technologies in the continuing relief and repair efforts in the Bay Area. Beyond that, I can think of a dozen initiatives that I would kill just to have you consult with us for an afternoon. But that's just scratching the surface. I'd love to meet at your earliest convenience. Monica.
Hope. It was unforgivable for me to snap at you like that. I am embarrassed, and I owe you an explanation. First, I hear your concerns about AIM and tying the fate of Pym Technologies so close to them. I listened to you, and I agree, because I've had those same concerns myself. I wasn't mad at you. I was scared. After being sidelined by Stark for so long, I'm finally feeling like I'm able to do some good in the world. I was never fully honest with you. I told you that it was no longer healthy for me to use the suit, but it's worse. I did damage to my nerve tissue in the early days of experimentation, and now it's had a cumulative effect. One more time, and it would almost certainly kill me, or worse. I can't tell you how impossibly hard it is to give up the thing that defines you. But in these last few weeks, it's the closest I've felt to being a hero again. I just can't lose that. But that's no excuse for being a jerk. I'm sorry. I love you. I know you shut my internal access down to your division's research. How long do you think you can hide this? I may not have a full picture of whatever unforgivable moral lapse you've indulged in, but I know enough to end your career, at the very least. They're people, Dr. Forson. You've violated every oath you ever took, and you have no right to do what you've done to them. I can't imagine the scale and the scope of the fraud that it took to keep this hidden. I guess I'd be impressed if it wasn't in pursuit of unforgivably unethical human testing, the scale of which would have made Mengele jealous. I gave you an opportunity to turn yourself in, but you chose to try and lock me out, so now it seems I have to do it for you, because you can't be allowed to continue like this. I can't even imagine how furious Monica will be when she sees what you've done, right under her nose. You're done.
We're going to need to move up the timetable with Dr. Pym. He thought he had the leverage to deliver an ultimatum about our research with the inhuman subjects. As such, I've concluded that his usefulness as a willing ally has reached its natural end. I want him picked up before he hits the parking lot tonight. Use your best discretion. He's already running hot after his moral crisis and likely to behave irrationally when cornered. Gloves off at your discretion. There's a cell prepped, third shielded, sub-basement. Relocate him and report back. We will have a limited amount of time before a missing persons report is filed, and I have some creative bookkeeping and asset transfers to accomplish. If all goes as planned, we'll have majority ownership of his company, and he'll be legally declared dead. We already got more than our investment out of Dr. Pym. Now we just take him off the board for a few years.
Dear Hope, I hope you find this actual written letter quaint, because it's all I've got at the moment. Maybe I'll even find a way to send it. I love you, and I miss you terribly, but let me be brief and try and catch you up. I'm currently on the run from an extra-national corporation with a standing army and zero regard for human rights, following an extended, illegal imprisonment. Again, you were right. With me are dozens of terrified civilians, all of whom have been the victims of horrendous abuse, and currently, I'm responsible for all their safety since it was me who persuaded them to organize our escape. We are tired, exhausted, starving, and currently have minimal shelter and supplies. And I haven't been this happy in a decade. I'm doing my very best to be very serious and stoic, so they don't think I've lost my mind. But for the first time since I wore the suit, I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm a hero again. You'd be proud of your old man. I love you so much, kiddo.
Tony, a quick, slightly awkward heads up. I imagine you'll be giving the Chimera a thorough once-over while you fix her up. By now, you know the Hulk spent a few years holed up there. It's not my finest hour, but I suppose she was my version of Golden Acres. I wanted to warn you, there might be a pile or three of random gear stowed in some weird places. Big Green got into
collecting things while he wandered the halls. Got to know the place pretty well. Found a lot of hidey holes. I think he was trying to connect with the past, surround himself with mementos of happier times. Anyway, I tried to find them all yesterday, but I'm pretty sure at least one or two are left. The whole episode's pretty hazy. So, ping me if you find any of this stuff. The flip side is, if you're missing something from 5 years ago, chances are it's part of a Hulk nostalgia pile. So, yeah.
Dear Peggy, by the time they actually let me send you this letter, I imagine you'll already know. The reports of my death, as they say, have been, greatly exaggerated. Do they still say that? I assume twain never goes out of fashion, but I once thought that about high-waisted men's slacks. I am alive. It doesn't feel fair. I was given a second chance once, and I swore to make the most of it. If I'm being charitable, I think I did. Most days. I knew I was living on borrowed time, and I was grateful for every second. It feels different this time, coming back. The first time I woke up to see a new world we created with our sacrifice. Now, I see what we've created with our hubris. I don't believe any man deserves a third chance at life, especially when I think about all the people who had their first lives cut short. But here I am. I can't change that fact. All I can do is make the most of it, and make as many things right as I can. Till we meet again. Steve. Dear Peggy, they've still got tests for me after my time up there. It's given me an opportunity to process, as Bruce says. My memory feels like someone shot it full of holes, gaps I can't fill. But those last few seconds feel like yesterday. I saw what was coming underneath the bay. Something deep beneath, hot enough to light up every one of the Chimera's scopes, pulsing in time to our overloading reactor. The seismograph screamed that the big one was coming, imminent. It was so clear to me then. I was there to earn my second chance. I didn't hesitate. I destroyed the reactor. I knew I wasn't coming out alive, but I could save millions. After that, it's all a fog. Monica was there. Maybe. I thought perhaps she was administering medicine to me and then to George. But the syringe was filled, and I was slipping away into the dark. I know I'd do it again in a heartbeat. It was the right call in that moment to save the most lives. So now, I need to think about the long run of bad calls that led us all to that point. Because there's a lot we have to answer for. Steve. Dear Peggy, when the Avengers grew, I always felt like I was struggling to grow with it, to be the best man I could be. Now I worry I won't be able to live up to their expectations. It's not just the Avengers. There's what's left of S.H.I.E.L.D., rising out of the ashes thanks to Maria Hill. And now the Inhumans, and Pym's resistance. All of us under the same roof, so to speak. All of them looking at me. Tony used to like to say that I was the best of us. But that was never true. I try. But I could never be as good as the world needs me to be. No one could. But I can be a mirror, for them to see the best of themselves. That's the secret. I only ever reflected what they had inside. I laid awake last night wondering, if I could still be that mirror. In the morning, Nat looked right at my bloodshot eyes and punched me in the arm. Gave me that little smirk. She believes in me. They all do. And I'm not in the business of letting people down. Steve. Dear Peggy, I feel like a fool. I've spent these hours fretting about how much everyone needs me, and whether I'm still up to the task. They don't need me. We were broken and scattered, but it wasn't me that pulled the Avengers back together. It was a teenage girl. Someone who grew up idolizing us. Someone who saw herself in our mirror. She got Bruce and Tony talking again. She got them all back together. By the time I was up from my beauty rest, the Avengers were whole again. I had nothing to do with it. You should see them right now. Avengers new and old. Just back from a mission, giddy with success. They earned every minute of it, and I couldn't be more proud. If I walked off this ship right now and vanished forever, they'd still go on and save the whole world again and again. I don't doubt that for a second. It makes my chest want to burst with the glory of it. I'm not, of course. Wouldn't dream of it. Just because they need me, that doesn't mean I don't need all of them. And you. Till we meet again, Steve.
It's over. There's no way S.H.I.E.L.D. survives the year in any recognizable form. If A-Day and our association with the Avengers don't drag us under, DC will do the rest. Every political enemy we have smells blood in the water. And they're already talking about redistributing budget and assets. I'm sorry, sir. I know I don't have to tell you, but despite my reservations, I did everything I could. And I don't regret a minute of it. If you'll allow me to be trite, it's been an honor. So we play it as planned. I'll remain as acting director as we shut off the lights. We can't save everything, but we can play the shell game like no one else in this town. After that, I'll take the first transfer I can to some safe agency, lay low at a desk for a year or two, and we'll see which way the storm clouds blow. And you and Clint, do what you do best. Till we meet again, sir. It's difficult to predict the nightmare scenario that would force us to publicly gut our own agency, commit several $1 billion of theft from the government, and attempt to hide the assets in a series of rotating black sites, all while trying to rebuild an unfunded and highly illegal shadow version of S.H.I.E.L.D. in total secrecy. But Fury knew it was a possibility, so we planned for it. Thanks to Dugan's last retrieval, we're about ready to enter administrative hibernation. When the time comes to emerge, we'll have a nest ready. It won't be much, but it will be enough to support us. So, now we disappear, and wait for my signal. I don't know when it will come, or what changes the next few years will bring, but we'll be ready. Because we have to be. This is not the end. I'll have the honor of serving with you each again, someday soon. Stay safe. I know you're eager to get started, and you know I am too, but it is not time yet. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. We can't afford a single mistake at this stage, or the results would be catastrophic. We knew we would be rebuilding S.H.I.E.L.D. in secret, under the nose of a hostile entity. But while we got away with 2 or 3% of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s assets, tools, and weapons, AIM has the other 97%. There is no margin of error. Which is why my answer is also no. Far too few of us came in when I sent the signal. We're still tracking the other threads, but it looks like this may be the extent of our team for now. I don't blame anyone for staying underground, but that makes my job a lot harder. I am responsible for all of them, even if they don't want to come back yet. We go slow, like molasses. Erase your footprints. turn off the lights behind you. From here on out, every day, we have to be perfect. You coddled us, Nick. I know you thought you were protecting us by keeping your secrets, but now that we're following in your footsteps trying to read your tea leaves, I know you kept something important from me. I put out the signal, but not many came back. I don't know if it's gonna be enough. S.H.I.E.L.D. was an organization of specialists, with a breadth of knowledge stretching across hundreds of disciplines. But that was before, when we were thousands strong. We're only a fraction of that now. And it leaves great holes in our ability to mount any resistance to AIM. We have one of the world's finest combat pilots, but no planes. I have a combat engineer with no ordnance. We're not a coherent fighting force, we're barely a bucket brigade. But damn it if it doesn't feel good to be back together again. You'd love it. You're a hell of an act to follow. But I'm doing my best. I don't recall the last time you replied to this address. Sooner or later, I'll just have to break the habit. What can I tell you? Things change. If we're gonna fight AIM, we're gonna need every asset. That means we need every Avenger and every agent we can get. I'm starting to realize some things standing in Fury's shoes. The man had a sense for the future that borders on the uncanny. A partnership between the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. made no sense to me in peacetime. But Fury was making sure our relationship was strong before we ever needed to test it. He saw all the ways the future might break, and he planned for them. We can skip the boring macho posturing and preening because it does not interest me. You need us as much as we need you. The Avengers need a support network. You need S.H.I.E.L.D. We can be each other's safety nets, because there is no way we survive this without each other. And I plan to survive. To Morales, from Hill. I'm not interested in your apologies, because I don't require one from you. You did exactly what I instructed. When it came down to asset retrieval or survival of your team, you did the right thing. Everyone came home. That alone makes it a success. Yes, I know exactly what we lost. To be clear, I know better than you do. But S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't our assets. A warehouse full of weapons alone won't stop a single threat. S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't Fury's fancy secrets either, despite how much it feels like we're chasing them. I'm starting to think the old man compartmentalized more out of habit and inclination than security. S.H.I.E.L.D. is us. S.H.I.E.L.D. is the team. Each and every one of us. And today we are undiminished thanks to your fast thinking. In the end, we don't need any of those things to get back on our feet. Look at us. We're already standing.
It's taken a little more time than I would have liked to get back into the old routines. If anyone has noticed that I'm still a bit slower or unsteady on my feet, they've avoided mentioning it. It's a weakness I can't afford to show for much longer. I'm taking more of an interest in the alien artifacts that remain in AIM control following George's little tantrum. We have enough fragments and pieces of the extraterrestrial automaton to safely make a variety of conclusions. Spectrographs confirm the obvious. It's constructed from material originating outside our solar system. It's bipedal, suggesting its creators either share a similar structural morphology with us, or that they wanted to show a familiar form to the natives. It was also damaged at some point in the distant past, presumably when it was made to lay dormant beneath the bay. Given the presence of terrigen in the automaton, I would say that the connection to the creation of the inhuman genome in the distant past is likely. Our need for terrigen is only growing, but we need to be cautious drawing any more from the remains of the automaton. There are too many unanswered questions here.
Because I refuse to write it down. I've told you this before, Banner. This is the domain of a skald, not a scribe. These things are not to be trapped in twisted lines on paper. You will make do with legends in the way legends were meant to be told.
half forgotten with body details added. We know that before gods journeyed to Earth, something else visited this world and laid their hands upon humanity. But where we Asgardians cast ourselves as your protectors, these visitors had other aims for mankind. They came to Midgard not from the Nine Realms, but from the cold stars beyond. Know that they were already a great empire in the stars, when time itself was young. No, I will not attempt to affix a date to that statement, and I resent the request. May I? The visitors took whole tribes of man and left an invisible mark upon their very flesh that continued down through generations. We, Asgardians, could sense this glyph on some humans, like an artist's signature, but we did not know what it meant. But it seems you now know exactly what it means. They are your Inhumans.
To the extent that it's possible, I'm keeping the various project heads working on this research siloed and ignorant of each other's findings. It means I have to do most of the synthesis on my own, which takes time I resent spending. But I don't think most of them are ready to accept the implications of what we've uncovered. We have direct evidence of an alien race having visited the Earth nearly 70,000 years ago. At the same time, we have a subspecies of human arising, presumably through intentional extraterrestrial genetic modification. But there's another unpleasant alignment. The modification of inhuman DNA occurs at the same geological time as the Toba event, the largest volcanic eruption in 25 million years. In the decades-long winter after, human populations dropped to as low as 1,000 individuals. All things told, triggering a volcanic eruption of that size would not be terribly difficult for AIM today. It would just be suicidal. So it seems, in order to ensure rapid inhuman propagation, our alien visitors either took advantage of the genetic bottleneck caused by a global catastrophe, or they created it on purpose.
We knew these unseen artists would return to see their great work unfold, but we waited millennia. We fought mighty wars with Jotunheim, and still we waited. We drank and fought and caroused across the realms. We saw the rise and fall of Atlantis, and still we waited. No follow-ups about Atlantis. That's not what this story is about. We believed we were ready to face them. We were wrong. They came from the stars as a single warrior, a champion of iron and glass that scraped the clouds and strode across the world in one mighty bound. We gathered all the heroes of Asgard to defend Midgard from the Star Giant. Many brave Asgardians entered Valhalla that day. The Star Giant fought with weapons unknown and fierce, and we grappled across the sky through day and night. And at last, we cast the Star Giant down beneath the skin of the world. There, he would slumber until the eve of... I am concerned that you're taking these tales at face value, Banner. That is most decidedly not what these stories are for. Yes, I was there. Yes, we conquered a giant from the stars. But if you're looking for truth, I'm afraid it's long lost in the glory of the telling.
Assuming the aliens who created the inhuman genome are the same species who created the automaton beneath the bay, that gives us a rough timeline. The visitors arrive just before or just after a global catastrophe that reduces the human population of the Earth to only a few thousand. They take a portion of the survivors and alter their DNA for some unknown reason. This inhuman genome lies dormant until activated, and human populations begin to grow again, both inhuman and unaltered alike. Thousands of years later, they send the automaton. I surmise it was to observe their experiment. The automaton has weapons unlike any we've ever seen. But the vast majority of its systems are geared towards observation and recording. But when it arrived, someone here on Earth put it down, forcing it to hibernate beneath the bay. I don't like that unknown. There's another player on the board. Finally, just before its destruction, it sent a transmission. We're still trying to make sense of the chaos in the signal, but we can tell where in the sky it was pointing. Somewhere in the large Magellanic Cloud. All of which leaves us with a near inescapable conclusion. Sooner or later, they're coming back.
Here's what we know, thanks to Aim's pilfered research as well as my own rough tests. At some point in the past, aliens visited this planet and altered the DNA of some humans. I know, I had a similar resistance to that, but I can walk you through the various proofs if you need. It's true. I'd always shrugged off the pulp ancient aliens theories because they reeked of post-colonial racist condescension. No one ever second-guesses the architectural achievements of ancient peoples in Europe, but they have a hard time believing humans closer to the equator could have built a pyramid. Transparent, really. But it seems inescapable that aliens did visit. The Inhumans are the result of alien interference. We can test for the Inhuman gene and we can map it. Beyond that, I don't know how to prepare for the future. They're literally everywhere, all over the world, lying dormant, not even knowing what they have inside them. They may never activate in their lifetimes, or we could have another A-Day tomorrow. I don't know. These are uncharted waters.
Hey, Doc. I thought about your offer a bunch, and I just wanted to let you know that I have definitely and definitively decided that I am not ready to make a decision about it yet. Sorry. I just don't know if I could let my family be tested for the Inhuman gene without their consent. I know you would tell me to get samples without them knowing, just like by digging through their trash or whatever, but honestly, that feels even worse. And what if one of them does show up as a carrier? So I learn where this unique DNA in me comes from. Maybe my mom has it. What would I even do with that information? What would we do with it? Does it go on yet another list? I mean, how long until that happens if it hasn't already? Huh. Sounds like I talked myself out of it. Okay. Thank you, but no. We can't change who we are or what we're made of. I'm all in favor of knowing all you can, but that's a decision someone has to make for themselves. All we could learn is who in my family has the potential in them. The potential to be great. I guess I prefer to assume that we all do.
I appreciate you keeping me in the loop with your research, Doctor. I don't particularly like the long-term implications of what you're telling me, but that's not your concern. Fury and I made it our business to know about the locations and potential of all individuals above the baseline. If I'm being frank, the Avengers was as much about keeping you all where we could see you as anything else. Now, of course, those numbers have skyrocketed following A-Day. That alone is a headache worthy of one of Thor's little stories, but it's worse than that, isn't it? There's thousands more of them out there. Just waiting. I know you don't want to hear this, but what we need is a database of known carriers of the Inhuman gene. I'm not proposing we violate anyone's civil rights, but we have a portion of the population carrying alien DNA and a hidden potential for massive destruction. If we're not willing to be prepared, we are guaranteed to be caught off guard. Just think about it. Please. All right, ignore the email I just sent from the official accounts. There's no way in hell we're leaving the Chimera in anyone else's jurisdiction. The sharks are circling, so we need to be prepared for the worst. My contacts in Washington say the investigation is not going well for S.H.I.E.L.D. It still sounds insane to me, but they tell me the math checks out. 18 cargo Quinjets attached at strategic locations on the Chimera's hull should provide enough lift to extract our vessel and carry it to our black site in Utah. I'll get you the pilots, but I want you two to be on the ground in San Francisco. Waltz in and act like we still own the place, and then get airborne as soon as you can. before they declare an official quarantine. Once we have it back in our possession, I will politely remind everyone of their non-disclosure agreements, and then we'll make the Chimera disappear. Doesn't matter how big she is in the end, all our assets are just line items on a spreadsheet. Easy enough to make those vanish. Stay sharp. This is gonna get worse before it gets better.
Good news, bad news sort of a situation, Hill. We're in the air now, and the Chimera is holding steady beneath the Quins. She sways a bit with the wind, but we're up above the turbulence now. Radar is clear, so it looks like we got away clean. Arrival in plus or minus 3 hours now. Here's the bad part. We weren't the first aboard. When we arrived, there was a team in hazmat suits already crawling over her. Not S.H.I.E.L.D., not any agency badges I recognized. Judging by the shiny new faceplates, I'd say they were private contractors. They had clearance. They claimed they were a decontamination crew just finishing up with a sweep. They also had a military escort, so we played nice. But it was a front. I don't know who they were, but they were there for the terrigen reactor, and they got it. The entire crystal accelerator chamber has been removed, gutting the internal power system. If this bird is ever going to fly again, it's going to be on traditional power. I'd say we should report it as a theft, but we're in a bit of a glass house. This whole damn thing stinks to high heaven. Someone was ready for this.
Evacuate the Chimera. This is not a drill. Begin evac at once. We've been tracking the Hulk across the state since last night, and we now have an 82% certainty that he is on his way to you. God only knows how he found it or what led him out here. You have approximately 17 minutes until he arrives, depending on how well he can navigate those canyons. I know how much I said we need the Chimera, but I need you all alive much more. We don't know the Hulk's mental state since Banner's disappearance, but it's highly unusual for him to travel in this form for so long, so he is not likely to be rational. Grab your drawers and get into your emergency transports. This is only temporary. When the Hulk moves on or when Banner comes around, we'll get back on site to continue repairs. It's only a matter of time. The Chimera will fly again. This is just another setback. Stay safe.
Dear Raven, I'm writing to you now because someday I'm going to be you. I haven't decided on my name when I'm Avenger, but Raven is good enough for now. I decided today that if you're going to do anything, you should do it as best as you can, because otherwise, what's the point? And when you're the best, then you better use it to help people. So I'm going to be the best, the fastest, and the smartest. And I'm going to be an Avenger. And I will never, ever be caught unprepared again. But you already know that, future me. Because if you're reading this, we've done it. Love, Katie. Lady Bullseye. Sorry I haven't written in the last month and for giving you a new name, but we've been very, very busy. Without powers of my own, my path toward being an Avenger is limited, and I'm gonna have to work a bit harder. For now, I've been focusing on the bow, just as a baseline skill. There's a club here at school, Sisters of Artemis, oh yeah, that I sometimes go shoot with. They're good. Stuck-up rich kids, but good shots. I go easy on them. I can split an apple out of the air, and in a year or 3, I think I'll have it mastered. To Hawkeye's level, at least. But I'm good enough to get his attention now. He's celebrity judging the annual competition. I just have to get in front of him. This is it. Is it? Well, you'd know. Love, Catherine. Hawkeye. 2? Lady Hawkeye? Lady Hawk? This is it. I did it. We did it. After a final probationary run, I'm going to be an Avenger. I won't blow sunshine up your butt about how hard it was, because you know exactly how damn hard it was, and how hard it's going to keep being. Can't stop just because I'm in the door. Everyone in the world is going to be watching now. I've got to show them every day that I belong here. That I deserve to be here. Because these other dudes can screw up again and again. But I'm not going to get that chance. No one ever said it was fair. But now that I'm in, I'm never letting go. Eventually, I'll just have to be known for something beyond the bow. Break out of his shadow a little. Huh. But that's for later. For now, I can close this book. Because I did it. Love, Kate. Idiot. I should have listened to Clint. We needed to be there. When everything went to hell, where were we? Following orders. We watched all those people die in San Francisco from hundreds of miles away. Everyone a failure on our shoulders. And it's tearing the Avengers apart. You'd think it would take more than that. More than just basic guilt. It's been weeks since we heard from any of them. Fury and Hill are all we've got, and this time we're not gonna sit here and do nothing. I don't know where the Avengers are, and they sure as hell don't care to find us. So who needs them? We'll do it ourselves. Diary? Dear? Diary? None of that feels right. The person I was writing this for came and went. I wanted to be something so bad that I bent every part of my life to that goal. And I did it. Almost. But all that willpower is nothing before the random cruelty of the world. The Avengers are gone. Clint's gone. AIM has him, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get him out. I keep thinking the storm will pass, and we'll all be a team again. It's fantasy, and I can't make it real, so, I need to let it go. I'm taking some contract work, stuff I know Clint would raise an eyebrow at, but don't have much choice now.
The full report is attached, but here's the skinny. Barton lived his early life in foster care after his parents died in an automobile accident. He had a brother, Barney, also deceased, though years later. Barney Barton has a criminal record, and his death could be related, but we couldn't find any evidence of Clint's involvement in these activities. The Bartons have no extended family that we could locate. At least not any who would care if he went missing traipsing through dark dimensions or anything. Pretty unique set of skills he learned after he and his brother ran away to join the circus. Literally. His hand-to-hand technique is mainly acrobatic, with marksmanship score higher than any recruit I've seen in my tenure. Barton knows his way around any bow that's handed to him. If it uses arrows, he can shoot you in the head with it. Of course, he was aiming more for the apples on top of heads until now, but I wouldn't hold that against him. You asked, we looked. The rumors about him training under the swordsman Jacques Duquesne are true. But there are skeletons in the closet of many of our best agents here at S.H.I.E.L.D. He was in the military, which is how he got on our radar. His record is exemplary, except for several incidents of insubordination. Barton's got a mouth, and he doesn't like shutting it. Seems like just your type. Recruitment recommended.
Nikki, it's your favorite human ATM speaking. I'm poaching Barton, is what I called to tell you. I could ask, but you would definitely say no, and, well, he's already kind of doing the job for me, so, jokes aside, we need him, and we're taking him. Wait, if I know you, this was probably your plan all along, wasn't it? Oh, you sly dog. Get him on some Avengers-related missions, show him off. Am I putting a spy into the Avengers for you? Ooh, sneaky. No, you know what? I don't care. I want Hawkeye on the team, and if you try to stop me, I will personally annoy you into retirement. Okay, bye.
Okay, I don't know what you've been reading on the internet or who wrote it, but you're wrong, all right? Based on my track record, if a woman wants to be on a date with you, you will know you are on a date. Clearly. Occasionally at gunpoint, but that part doesn't really apply here. But no, this thing with you and Monica is not a date. Could it turn into one? Sure. But again, you will know. If something happens, it happens. If not, back the hell off, all right? Wait, does Monica own a gun? Yeah, never mind. If this thing does become a date, don't worry about messing it up. She knows about Big Green, and if she really likes you, you'll be surprised by how much she'll overlook. Nat just looked over my shoulder and demanded I ask questions and show interest in her. So, take that with a grain of salt. Oh, she adds, I never pointed a gun at you. But that is a lie, and I'm only typing it here so I can say that she's a lying liar. And now she is pointing a gun at me. So, who's more credible? Remember, she's a human, not a lab project. Clint. Avengers. I know you're all busy preparing for A-Day, so Tony's probably reading this while getting his nails done somewhere, but I'd rather get this out of the way now. Kate Bishop is ready. We've all seen what she's capable of. All the tests, all the training. She's more than proven herself. Yeah, she didn't quite manage to beat Nat in hand-to-hand, but neither has any of us. So, the Avengers, they need young blood to keep it alive. Thor may live forever, but come on, the rest of us won't. She represents something to the world, that the Avengers is more than just us. That it'll survive beyond us. I couldn't think of a better Hawkeye than Kate Bishop. With all that implies. Clint. Hey, Bruce. Starting to feel like I'm talking to the void here. You get up in front of Congress before you reply to a damn email? It chafes, man. Come on. I saw you on TV, I guess is what I'm getting at. Yeah. Thanks for the invite, by the way. Sure do love watching the fate of my career getting decided by everyone but me. I get mad at you, but I'm not good at holding grudges. Still friends with most of my exes, after all. And I wasn't there on the bridge to watch the ship go down, so yeah, you might have a better read on the situation than I do. A-Day's still messing with my sleep, but I've got some good news. I got a dog. Got is probably the wrong word for it. He likes to nap and eat pizza so we can relate. Anyway, I hope you're actually reading these. Hang in there, buddy. Clint. Kate, deep breaths, okay? In and out. If you need to throw something, just make sure it's not at someone, alright? Lucky is fine. The vet got him to throw up what little of your birthday cake he managed to scarf down before you wrestled him to the floor. Do not take this as an omen. We celebrate your birthday every year because it's a good thing. You being born. Just because the last few have had their, colorful moments doesn't mean we should stop. The dog will be back to stealing our pizza and napping in inappropriate places in no time. Take a cue from him. It's all gonna work out in the end. I'm sending you everything Hill had on Fury. God, that dude had more bank accounts than phone numbers, if you can believe that. Oh, and Katie, happy birthday.
As a historian, I applaud your efforts to connect with your roots, Princess. But as a man who has seen 3 Black Panthers fall, I must warn you of a few things. Many eyes follow the path you are about to walk down, and not all of those eyes approve. This is a blight on Wakanda's great history that resulted in the exile of the Jabari tribe from our nation. After thousands of years of unity under the Black Panthers, your father failed. There are those who want that to be the way he is remembered. Then there are those, like your brother, who believe T'Chaka inherited an infection that was already inside our country. Your father was a great man, but there have always been great men. Just because your brother holds on to T'Chaka's image does not mean that you have to. A family that mourns in perpetuity risks losing themselves forever. While the people can afford to live in myth, you cannot. Perhaps you know all this already, and are looking to free T'Challa once and for all from his father's shadow. A noble goal. But are you prepared for the consequences if you succeed?
Uncle, if you are anywhere near my brother when you are reading this, step away, quietly. I know no one in this country can keep a secret for more than a few hours, so I assume the old man has told you what I plan to ask. Still, I would prefer T'Challa not know that I am reopening these old wounds. If I could do this without hurting either of you, I would. But even in the depths of the Kimoyo archives, I have been unable to open any records involving my father's murder. I know only the few things my mother was willing to tell me, and she was not there. T'Challa refuses to say anything on the subject. I ask only that you give me the clearance I need to uncover the information myself. You do owe me, Uncle. You knew I was preparing to challenge you the day my brother became king, and you let him through ahead of me anyway. If I had won that day, this information would be available to me already. Giving me access is the least you can do. Your niece, Shuri.
As there are no surviving witnesses to the event other than Prince T'Challa, who the Queen Mother has asked not to be questioned while he recovers. The following information was gathered from GPS and biomedical data retrieved from King T'Chaka's Kimoyo bracelet. The king's heart rate increased 36 minutes after entering the Mute Zone village, just east of Benin Bashinga. His heart rate ceased no more than 15 minutes after that. A coroner reported cause as blood loss from a gaping wound on his back. 50 Mute Zone citizens were also killed in the attack. The 6 Hatut Zarazi that accompanied the king and his son, Prince T'Challa, were not found at the scene. Their Kimoyo bracelets were removed prior to arrival at the Mute Zone. Prince T'Challa was found unharmed beneath the king's body.
T'Challa, I am guessing our uncle was the one that told you. I saw the look you gave me at dinner. I just want to know. Was he afraid? Did he suffer? I started all of this because I cannot stand being left out of our family's secrets anymore. But the closer I get to the truth, the farther away from you I become. I am no longer the girl who needed to be protected from the details of her father's death. I am one of the most powerful people in Wakanda, whether you approve or not. I can handle this story. Please, brother, do not leave me in darkness. Shuri.
Shuri, Father knew the peace talks with the Jabari tribe were a sensitive issue, but he could never resist me when I asked to learn how to be a great king. We took 6 Hatut Zaraze with us, no one else. The Mute Zone village was quiet. When we arrived at the square, there was a stage for our father and the Jabari ambassador to speak from. I remember thinking a lot of people had come to watch, but now I know there were only 50. I had heard Father practice his speech so many times, I could have given it. I mimed along with his motions, mouthing the words. When he raised his hand in an open palm, I raised my hand, and it began. All 6 Hatut Zaraze knelt before the Jabari ambassador, before turning their weapons on our father. The ambassador demanded no witnesses. His own guards began killing the crowd, one by one. I have never seen our father fight harder than he did that day to get to me. He was the Black Panther every second of his final moments. Father reached me just as a traitor raised his claws in front of me, but no strike came. I was pressed to the ground, the wind knocked out of me. I did not remember closing my eyes, but when they opened, Father's face was close to mine. I did not move. I did not breathe. I pretended to be dead beneath our father's corpse. I begged Bus to let me live. And she sent me America. Believing me dead, the traitors left. The quiet returned. Was he afraid? The look in his eyes was not fear. Did he suffer? No. One moment he was there, and the next, Bus took him. Shuri, you may not be the girl who cried on my shoulder. His mother told you what happened. But that boy, beneath his father's body, frozen in cowardice, is still within me. Regret cannot alter what one has done, but it can fuel what one does next. I hope the truth does for you what it could not do for me. Your brother.
There is very little vibranium in the scientific community upon which we can test our hypothesis, but the trace amounts we acquired on the black market show incredible promise. This galactic metal absorbs all kinds of kinetic energy and can repurpose it into other forms, including the physical. While terrigen was our ticket to financial stability, vibranium gives us the competitive edge we need in pursuing more otherworldly ventures. I have seen Captain America's shield in action, so to speak, and anecdotally can confirm that vibranium is as magical as it seems. The only way to find enough to create replicatable studies, however, is by getting it from the remote African nation where a meteor crash landed thousands of years ago, full of the impossible metal. I attempted to broach an agreement between Wakanda and AIM after the Avengers were disbanded, and got nowhere. I even considered waking the good captain from stasis to use him as a bargaining chip, but the risks at the time were too great. With his revival, he may still be our ticket inside.
M, you are aware how damn hard it was for me to get you the little bit of vibranium I did, right? Literally every piece that isn't making up Captain Capitalist Shield is stolen from someone else. Ask me for uranium-238, and I got you. But breaking into the most secure nation in the world is way above my pay grade. You want someone that crazy? You're looking at Ulysses Klaue. Dude's a physicist that spent years trying to create artificial vibranium. Clearly hasn't worked out for him. But if there's anyone who wants back into Wakanda and will sacrifice everything to do it, that's the guy. I can't exactly recommend him, though. He freaks me out on a good day. And Klaue does not have a lot of those. But you worked with George Tarleton, so the devil you know and all that. Don't tell him I sent you. The.
Dr. Rappaccini, I read your proposal, and I must admit, I'm disappointed. The mighty advanced idea mechanics. Sneaking into Wakanda under cover of night and sneaking out without being caught. Where's the drama in that? The show of force. Look, the only way you're getting the vibranium you need is to leave the Black Panther and his cult members quaking in their boots. You have the men. You have the tech. All you need now is me. Full-scale invasion. Don't you want to control all of the vibranium on Earth? Why would you ever let a competitor have some of their own? Unless, of course, they paid a pretty penny. So, you get me the army. I'll get you the vibranium. Sincerely, Klaue.
Klaue, you can have your army, but there is a condition. Wakanda is a country that has withstood invasion for thousands of years. They've been able to experiment on vibranium uninterrupted for generations. The metal alone is useless without that knowledge. Otherwise, AIM will always be behind Wakanda in technological prowess, and you know we can't have that. That may mean taking some of their scientists hostage rather than disposing of whomever gets in your way. I've heard that isn't your forte in the past. Is that going to be a problem? M.
I'm not worried. The Rappaccini woman is a means to an end. Any amount of vibranium I let her have, she'll be thankful for. But the rest, Father? The rest will be ours. You know, I keep the nugget you gave me in my pocket so I remember its weight. And the blood it took to get back to me. Those idiots at the university! Stopping my funding because my progress was only incremental? Incremental! As if all of science progressed in leaps. But we knew, didn't we, Father? We knew to be patient. Now, I've cracked it. A way to get past a vibranium shield. Using the very sonic energy that blasted country relies upon. I'll be inside every system before they even know I've arrived. Did I need the army? No. But will it be beautiful to watch the joy fall from every Wakandan face as they meet their new master? I will bathe in it. Revenge is sweet, but complete destruction is sweeter. No, I'm not worried at all.
Esteemed delegates, I stand before you today with a decision I did not make lightly. Several of you here were aware of Wakanda's negotiations with the Avengers prior to the tragic events of A-Day, including gifting the late Captain Rogers with a shield made from our most precious of resources. In light of the events that took Captain Rogers' life, disbanded the Avengers organization, and destroyed one of America's greatest cities, Wakanda has had to make certain compromises for the continued safety of our nation. We will compromise no longer. From this day forward, Wakanda will once again be closing its borders. We are ceasing all imports and exports, canceling educational and corporate exchange programs, and shuttering our international embassies. We in Wakanda feel a return to total isolation and neutrality is the only way to assure our people's safety. My late father used to say, "A great leader is not defined by the best of times, but by how he guides his people through the worst of times." I believe we are living in the latter, and that how we respond to it, how we guide our people through it, will show us the leaders we can be. The King of Wakanda has one goal: to protect his people. Though many of you may not agree with this choice I have made, I hope you can respect it. Thank you.
That's it, huh? Our golden boy goes down and the pointy-eared mouse catcher can't deal with the world anymore. God, I wish I could walk off like that. But see, when you're a hero, you can't just shove your head in the sand. I got your piss-poor offer to buy my damn company, by the way, and I hope you take this as a hell no and F off. I don't need saving from a coward like you. I still believe in Steve's vision for the world. He dies and you pretend you were never on board? Screw you! If you were a good man, you'd feel guilty every damn day that you didn't build him something other than a shield, because clearly that did nothing to protect him from what was coming. But no, I know you're not a good man, because if you were, this would not be the move you'd pull. You would have come to the hearings, you would not have offered me chump change for my father's company, and you would have been at his funeral. I'm ashamed of you.
As part of training for the Dora Milaje recruits, Neka and I led the first years on a typical perimeter sweep of the southwest border. We let them touch the vibranium barrier to see how their Kimoyo bracelets would react to it. We detected motion beyond the barrier, and Neka stayed with the recruits while I went to investigate. I am not sure if they were trying to be stealthy in their bright yellow spacesuits or not, but I spotted them immediately. There were only 3 of them, using brick-like scanning devices over some plants and trees. I knocked them unconscious and ordered a jet to drop them in the middle of the Kalahari Desert. I thought it would be entertaining for the recruits. Since then, my sword sisters have seen 3 other scouting parties less than a mile from the border. None have made it to the barrier itself, so our deterrents are still working. But they are getting uncomfortably close below it. We may need to take a more proactive approach.
Everything's gone. Everyone's done. Did you watch? Did you see Thor set down his hammer? Nat disappear? If you did you care? They didn't just take my company, they took my family. I don't mean my dad, his legacy. What was I saying? I don't remember what I said last time, man. I've been probably talking out my ass. I was angry. I'm still angry. But this is the white flag. The SOS. Can you just buy them out? Your country's richer than God. It'd be a snap of your fingers or claws, whatever. I need this. Without the suit, without the company, you're still a king when you go to sleep at night, right? But me, just save me, please. Be the hero, lord it over me, just don't let Steve's dream die on my watch. Don't let my family stay broken. Please.
Thought you might want to see this. There are also a few audio files from our old line to the Avengers that... Just listen to them. You will understand.
According to several eyewitnesses, among the rogue Avengers was Steve Rogers, also known as Captain America. Rogers was purportedly lost 5 years ago during the A-Day disaster, but an audio recording released to several communication satellites confirms that Rogers survived. There are no further details at this time.
Hey, Liz. You there? Okay, you're either underground without service, or you hate me. Hoping for the former. Can you call me? Can we meet up?
No.
Okay, fair. Let me at least apologize. I don't know what AIM told you in your exit interview, but I told them you had nothing to do with it. They didn't believe me. Liz, I am so sorry. I know how much that internship meant to you.
No, you don't. Otherwise, you wouldn't have skimmed information from AIM's servers. What were you thinking?
Liz, I wasn't just goofing off. This time. I don't want to get you into any more trouble, but I was poking around for a good reason. I swear, I don't think AIM is being honest about a lot of things. I'm not sure if it's safe to put in a text. Meet me for coffee?
Just leave me alone, Peter. Please.
August 12th. Whew! Okay, not paranoid. That guy was definitely following me. Well, following Peter, but now he's confused and looking around. Everywhere but up. Right above you, dude. Nope, nothing. Well, at least that probably means he hasn't seen me change outfits. Huh. How long has he been doing this? August 19th. Same guy as last week. Not the Tuesday guy. This is Thursday Man. Tuesday is the lumpy pink one that looks like an accountant. This one looks like a car salesman? I don't know. Not like I'm ever going to buy a car. I don't know what more proof I'm looking for. It's gotta be AIM. Who else would want to follow me? August 20th. Okay, well, yeah, that's proof. Today, he got into an unmarked car and drove through an AIM security gate. I'm being surveilled by a multinational corporation. Little old Peter Parker, target of industrial espionage. That is so cool and absolutely terrifying. And it means I'm right about something. Oh crap. This is so above my pay grade. Okay, welcome to the Get the Avengers to Like Me thread.
I think they already like you?
I don't know. I think I caught Iron Man glaring at me in the lab.
Ugh, that's just his face. Promise. But let me think. Can you bake? I hear he likes snickerdoodles.
Yeah, me and ovens aren't really on good terms. That's why I mostly rely on dollar pizza and halal food trucks.
Oh man, I would kill for a Euro right now.
Focus, Jersey. How do I get them to like me? Or at least tolerate me?
I don't really think you have anything to worry about. Widow trusts you, so Cap trusts you. Tony and Bruce are science bros, so if you talk nerdy to them, they'll adopt you in a heartbeat. And Thor likes everyone, so that's not really an issue. You're panicking over nothing. Promise.
I guess. I just didn't really expect superhero work to involve so much socializing. I was never any good at all those networking workshops.
Hey, if it's any help, I like you. We're gonna be best of friends, Spidey. Just you wait.
You know I was serious about this being a one-time thing, right? I'm not planning on sticking around.
Yeah, I totally believe you. Winky face.
Hey, Liz. I wanted to reach out to you before, but you blocked my phone number. Which I totally get. That is your prerogative, and I respect your boundaries. But I swear I wouldn't try to contact you if it wasn't important. So, if you haven't already deleted this, I have this friend that I'm trying to help out. He's a really good dude. You'd like him. But he's looking into some things. Things I used to be concerned about. And he found something, and honestly, I don't know who else to ask about it. I'll just say it. I was right to be worried about you-know-who. Whom? Yeah, them. They're up to all sorts of shady things. But here's the thing. It looks like they're doing it with supplies from your family's company. I know you. And I don't think you'd want Allen Chemicals involved in this. Please tell me I'm right. Miss you. Pete.
Peter, I'm not going to pretend that it's all water under the bridge, but I understand why you're contacting me. To be clear, you're right. And I would have thought that no one here would willingly let our products be used by AIM, especially not for programs like these. But those pictures your friend took prove it. Those products clearly came from us here at Allen Chemicals. I can read part of the manifest label in the pictures. And whoever it was, they covered their tracks. Any record of that sale has been expunged from our system internally, but I tracked down the paper shipping records directly from the warehouse. I'm gonna dig into this, find out where the rest of the shipment was sent. Then maybe your friend can help us find out who's behind it. Because until then, there's no one here that I can trust. Please don't make me regret trusting you, Liz.
So we looked into that intel from your friend. It's good. We're gonna move on the AIM caches and see if we can intercept one of their deliveries.
That's awesome! If we can find the caches, we might be able to find their shipment logs and trace it back to who sold them in the first place. Hey, can I ask you a question?
Shoot.
You're kind of the expert on secret identities. I've been doing this superhero thing for like 6 years now, and I still feel like I'm always on the verge of revealing who I am. How do you keep it up? When does it stop feeling like I'm lying to the world?
It doesn't. Not really. There's always going to be two sides of who you are. The public side and the private side. The more you start to mix the two, the harder it's going to be to keep the lie up.
So this is just how it's going to be forever? Lying to my family? To my friends?
Well, yes and no. Just because it gets harder when you let people in doesn't mean you stop letting them in. You just have to adapt. Find the select few you can trust, really trust, and let them help you.
Speaking from experience?
Let's just say international spies aren't really meant to have permanent homes on flying helicarriers. Listen, I know the double life is a pain. Trust me, I think about it all the time. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and just need to talk it out, let me know. I'm pretty good at keeping secrets.
All right. I will. Thanks. You know, originally I was gonna call myself Black Widow Man. But then I found out that male Black Widow spiders are harmless. Kinda took the teeth out of the name.
And Spider-Man has a better ring to it.
Smythe's been demanding new schematics for weeks, and nothing seems to please the bastard. He's a genius, I'll give him that, but his obsession with Spider-Man is getting old. And it's only gotten worse the past few days. I know it's coming up on the anniversary of Alistair's death. I don't know, maybe that's the reason he's more manic than usual. I'm approving another round of funding through Allen Chemicals. Dad's preoccupied with keeping an eye on Liz, so I can probably skim a couple more caches for AIM if it comes to that. I know we lost a few shipments last week. The webs were sort of a dead giveaway for who's been poking around. Who knows? Maybe Smythe's crazy ramblings about Spider-Man have some merit after all. I need more coffee. I've got another modification I've got to fix for the geezer tonight. He's asking for an increase in toxin spill, but, you know, look, it's all gonna be over soon. And then I am taking a private jet to Maui. Raxton.
I sent you the pictures of the new tech my friends have been seeing.
Yeah, that's definitely Mark's work. Ever since he apprenticed under Spencer Smythe, he's designed his circuits just like these. I'll send you some of his older schematics for you to compare.
Thanks, Liz. We're starting to see real tech in the hands of AIM now. Not just prototypes. I mean, Spider-Man sees them. Then he tells me about it, obviously. Hey, how are you holding up? You still feel safe where you are?
Yeah. I don't know how long I can keep a poker face, but I'm okay for now. I just can't believe Mark sold out Allen Chemicals to AIM. He's ambitious, sure, but this seems extreme. Is it just jealousy?
Of you?
He knows my dad set up the company to turn over to me when he officially retires. Maybe Mark wanted to prove that he was better at making money? Who knows? But Mark is in way over his head with AIM. I just hope he realizes that before it's too late.
Let me know if I need to tell Spidey to keep an eye on you. I'm so sorry I dragged you into all of this.
Dude, this is my family. I'd rather know and do something about it than stand by in silence.
I guess. In spite of it all, it's been really great working with you again.
Same, Pete. Shame it took all this.
What the hell was that out there?
I don't know what you mean. The new synthoids worked exactly as designed.
Someone could have been killed. We never agreed to that, Spencer.
You're either willfully ignorant or an idiot if you thought people wouldn't get hurt, Mark. And that spider freak has been working with them. I wouldn't have had to maximize production if the brat hadn't gotten the Avengers involved.
Look, I know you still hold a grudge against them, but...
A grudge? Is that what you think this is? Just some petty vendetta against the innocent Avengers? My son is dead! And it's their fault, their incompetence from that stunt in San Francisco. I think I'm due a little bit of compensation.
This isn't just about you!
You're right. It's not. And I'm not the only one who's been betrayed here. Turns out the Resistance has a new biochemist working with them, Liz Allen. She's been helping the Avengers and Spider-Man. She's as much a traitor as the rest of them.
Don't talk about her like that.
You told me once that you'd do anything to protect your family. Protect your sister. Is that still the case?
Yes.
Get your house in order, Mark. I won't be held responsible if she gets caught in the crossfire.
Hey, did you get one of these too? Because I think AIM is trying to frame me? Like actual big bad corporation framing me. Please let me know if you're seeing this, Liz. I'm kinda scared. Pete.
Attention, Mr. Peter Parker. This letter is to notify you that an internal investigation has been opened regarding your work with advanced idea mechanics. Our team has incontrovertible evidence that during your internship with AIM, you conducted illegal experiments on inhuman patients placed in AIM's care, in violation of the patient's rights and federal regulations. We have further cause to believe that you have been leaking information to an extra-legal vigilante group, the Avengers. We at AIM have little choice but to take decisive action in response to this, potentially including reporting the matter to the proper authorities. Mr. Parker, by being selected for our internship, you demonstrated that you have a promising future in the sciences. Unfortunately, your reckless acts have placed that future in jeopardy. We understand that young people can be drawn into situations without realizing the full implications, and have no wish for your entire life to be derailed by one bad decision. But this is a serious matter that requires immediate attention. We want to offer you the opportunity to cooperate with our investigation. By telling us what you know about the Avengers and any other groups you've been working with, you would demonstrate remorse and good faith, and avoid the need for your name to be dragged into this sordid matter. We could then direct the authorities to those actually responsible, and provide you with the counsel of our legal team, free of charge. Please contact us at your soonest convenience. You still have the opportunity to protect yourself and your future, but that window is rapidly closing. Best regards.
Hey, everything's gonna be okay. Just breathe.
Easier said than done. I'm kind of freaking out. They're just gonna blame all the experiments on me? I mean, that's my signature they forged.
Pete, there is no way this is gonna hold up in court. They're just trying to scare you.
It's working. Even if it doesn't stick, they're gonna drag my name through the mud. I'll be a pariah.
I'll look into it. Don't worry. I'm not gonna let AIM get away with this. Speaking of, I need a bugle contact to broadcast AIM's experiments to the public. Take them down from the inside, but we need someone to upload it to the bugle site.
I'll do it.
No, you'll lose your job.
I dragged you into this mess to begin with, so let me take the fall. If it takes down AIM in the process, that's what matters, right?
You sure about this?
Positive. Have Spider-Man send me AIM's feed and I'll stream it.
Okay. Thanks, Pete. I owe you.
You don't owe me a thing, Liz.
Hey! I know I can't see your face, but you're being all quiet. It's freaking me out, man.
Sorry. Just thinking about what happened with Smythe. I can't believe we let him get away.
Listen,
I'm new to this whole thing, but if I know anything, it's that villains always escape the first time. It's a rule.
Fair point. I just feel bad that Mark's taking the fall for Smythe.
He sorta helped make those robots, though? And it's not like he was forced to help AIM. He knew what he was doing.
Except now we know that he was working with AIM to protect Liz. So, I kinda understand his motivations.
Wild. Look, maybe instead of cozying up with mad scientists and villains, what if Mark just talked to her? Asked her what she wanted?
Okay, fair. But we know how powerful AIM is. If he wanted to protect Liz, what choice did he have?
There's always a choice.
Well, I hope I never have to make that one.
You already did, dude. And you're here. With us.
You hanging in there?
Did you include a hanging pun there just for me? Aww.
I did not. But feel free to interpret it as such. I mean, are you doing okay with the double life?
I'm adapting.
Good to hear. Your friend Liz talked to me. Mentioned a mutual contact of yours, Peter Parker. Looks like AIM was gearing up to drag him through an ethics trial around a number of inhuman experiments they were conducting.
Oh, wow. I'll be sure to tell him to keep his head down. Maybe have him look into a lawyer or something.
Don't worry about it. Their evidence was flimsy at best and easy to wipe from their system. Probably better not to tell him. I just wanted you to know, in case he came to you about it.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much, Black Widow.
You know you can call me Nat, right? And Liz deserves the thanks. She's the one who asked me to look into it. Anyway, I was serious about what I said before. Anytime you want to talk, just let me know.
Thanks, Nat. I will. June 12th. It's 9:45 on a weekend, and I'm calling this patrol early because, I am wrecked. Nothing major to report. The most exciting thing was getting a dog out of a locked car, which is a level of intensity I can live with for a bit. I'll do some extra patrolling tomorrow. Gonna have more downtime now that I got fired. I mean, of course it was gonna happen. Using my company login to hijack the Bugle's live feed and broadcast AIM's unethical practices was apparently crossing a line. Who knew? I will miss getting paid to take pictures, but working with the Resistance is worth it. Not monetarily, of course. It's ramen season again, but I feel like I'm doing something unambiguously good. Both Peter and Spider-Man this time. Instead of one just being a mask for the other. And it's nice to have people I can trust and rely on. If Kamala was here, she'd tell me to go to bed. I need someone to tell me to go to bed. Peter, go to bed. Doesn't have quite the same effect.
This is Dr.Jane Foster. It's December 15th, 7:42 p.m. The results of my biopsy came in this morning. I've just been sleeping most of the day. Guess I thought if I wasn't conscious, I wouldn't have to face reality. Cancer. God. It's metastasized, they said. Spread to my lymph nodes and everything. I just keep thinking if I was paying more attention, if I wasn't so obsessed with thinking it was the inhuman disease, I could have seen it coming. But now it's... What am I gonna tell Thor? Are gods even mentally equipped to deal with mortality? I mean, this was an inevitability, but I didn't think it would be so soon. Yeah. I'm fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'll be fine. I'll talk with the oncologist tomorrow and we'll get it sorted. And in the meantime, I've got to make some calls. If AIM is blaming this inhuman disease and masking the real diagnoses, someone's got to fight back. And I will. Until this thing kills me. And the Allfather said I had no fight in me. Look who's fighting now, old man. Thor, why are you here?
I'm here to help you. To take care of you.
If Asgardians have some magical cure for cancer, I'm all ears. Have you seen the news? They're saying the Avengers are back. They have someone new with them.
Now that part of my life is over.
Then Asgard could use your help.
It sounds like you're trying to make me leave.
I'm dying. My sense of taste is shot. I spend most of my days sleeping, and my memory is going. I'm not going to make you watch me die. Not when there's still good you can do. The world needs you. The Avengers need you.
No, I put the hammer down. I don't intend to pick it back up.
AIM is building an army. And you know Tarleton and Monica aren't going to stop until the Avengers are beaten into the ground.
Please, I don't want to talk about this.
Damn it, Thor. I won't be your excuse to wallow. There are people who need you.
You need me. Jane.
Mjolnir.
How did you...
If you won't fight for those who can't, if you won't fulfill your responsibilities, then I will. This is Dr.Jane Foster. March 22nd. Second round. More like the first, right? Radiation every day and twice on Fridays. Chemo once a week. And then I become Thor and I start from scratch. Rinse and repeat. The vomiting I expected. Even the stomatitis and loss of taste. But the hearing, that was a surprise. The doctors aren't sure why I haven't reached the 30% benchmark yet. But it's not like I can tell them that whatever Asgardian magic Mjolnir uses negates the therapy treatments. And I can't put the hammer down just so I can recover. I'm not sick when I'm Thor. I feel like me again. For a little while. I can't look at myself in the mirror anymore. I look like a corpse. My dad used to tell me that you can do anything for 6 months. I keep trying to tell myself that. Keep thinking, this is one less radiation session. You're one step closer to being done. I can do anything for 6 months. Oh, I wish you were still here, Dad. I wish you could tell me to keep going, to keep fighting. Every day I walk out of the hospital and I feel like I won't be able to walk back in. I don't know how much more I can take. I have to keep going. With Odinson out of the picture, Asgard is on the brink of civil war. I can't let go now. But God, do I want to?
Can't sleep?
Side effect of hopping timelines, I guess. What's your excuse?
Oh, late night sparring session. Stark wanted to test out how much electricity his new suit could withstand.
And what was the verdict?
He is going to need a new suit entirely.
How noble.
Come now, Thor. Regale me with tales of your universe. We can at least while away the hours with stories.
Not much to regale, I'm afraid. My Asgard is gone. The All-Father went mad, locked away the All-Mother, and led the Asgardians down a path of civil war. I tried to stop it, did whatever I could, but still.
Ragnarok.
Not in the way that Odinson had told me. I was expecting wolves and serpents, but in the end it was just gods fighting each other. And they called Midgardians selfish.
What of my father? Did he...
I made a deal. Odin wasn't going to stop. There were whispers of him invading Midgard. So, I went to Jotunheim and met with Loki. And we slayed Odin together.
You cannot trust my brother.
I am well aware of that.
What was the bargain? Jane, what did you give him?
Just my word. I would find Odinson and give him back Mjolnir. No more Goddess of Thunder.
Well, I suppose we're the lucky ones then. It'd be a shame for you to give up the hammer.
It doesn't make you uncomfortable?
Not at all. I can't think of anyone more worthy than Dr.Jane Foster.
This is Thor, May 12th. I've been in contact with this timeline's Jane Foster since my arrival. She's healthy. Seems the only difference in our timelines was that she wasn't at A-Day. So, not the inhuman disease that Monica kept speaking about, but probably some exposure to the terrigen that day led to the cancer. Dr. Foster and I are swapping notes, and she's going to follow up and see if there are any patients in this timeline that were affected by the terrigen leak. Still, it's nice to know that there's at least one reality where I'm happy. This Odinson looks at me differently. I don't think it's guilt. Not entirely. It's almost as if he can see my Odinson's failure through my mere existence. And he's disappointed in him. I can't say I disagree. I can't go back. I don't want to go back. There's nothing waiting for me back there, except a ruined Asgard and a deal with the devil. Would it be so bad if I stayed? If I remained like this? Powerful and healthy and doing good work? I like being Thor. It feels right. Kamala gave me a friendship bracelet today. She's the best of us in all our timelines. And I want to be here for her. I don't think that's so bad.